Hey, we're live. It's been a while. I'm going to go ahead and advertise the stream to those who may want to watch. And those who, if people have joined already, I don't know, it says there's 0 people in, but sometimes there'll actually be people in it, even when it says 0. There probably will be a lot of religion talked on the stream. I think Alex is going to come on. We're going to chat a little bit about religion. We're going to discuss. We're not going to debate. I think debate is a little too strong here because, Alex and I are good friends and, we don't have any ill will towards one another. Yeah. So one person's joined. I wonder who it is. We'll see. So live viewer comment show up on no one cares. I'm trying to put some background music on. Should be good. So the one person who's here, can you speak? I'm curious as to who you are. You don't have to speak if you don't want. I don't care. Apparently my connection's just 1 bar. That's not good. My computer's having a stroke. Need a moment? All right. I'm still going to put the link in the chat. I'm not going to since we're going to talk about religion, Alex, I'm not going to let anybody else on if other people end up joining. But I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've been wanting to ask you if we can kind of come on here and talk religion, but that'll definitely give Noah a stroke. I don't care, though. I don't even know if he knows who I am. But I saw your recent message, Alex. You were talking about church tradition and stuff. You kind of have a misconception on what that is. There's 2 types of tradition. I'll let you get on and we can speak about it. But there's 2 types of tradition. I'll explain what those are. I think they're very important. See, because tradition. When I say tradition, you can see my message. I use a capital T. I use it for a reason, because we believe that is oral traditions. Oral tradition meaning teaching, I guess, in this context. He shares. Oh well, I don't think Noah cares. I've never seen him. I've never talking to the guy. We're not gonna debate. Marcel. Did I say debate? I'm gonna say discussion. We're not gonna debate. But Alex and I have too much respect for one another to debate. I think debate is kind of a strong word here, but we're going to discuss. And tag team versus me. Yeah, we get to Marcel's Catholic, so we're going to tag team on you. Well, if you get Matt in here, he's Protestant. He's Presbyterian, I think. I remember him saying that on one of his streams. But if Matt comes in, hey. Oh, no, I'm not talking religion on a live stream. Fair enough. An argument is Debate, I don't know, it can be respectful. But the point of debate, I think, is to change each other's mind. I think you can discuss and not change someone's mind. I don't know. Argument, maybe. I don't have my Bible, so if we're gonna even debate, I'm not even ready. Well, I guess I got a Bible app on here, so and it would be a Protestant Bible, by the way. I can find any any Catholic teaching um, in the Bible, in a Protestant Bible. Don't need a Catholic Bible. Alex, your favorite version is the ESV, right? I have it up. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I don't know. You kind of see that. I have the ESV. I don't have a printed version of that. The Protestant Bibles I have KJV, NIV, ICB, which you probably never heard of that. NKJV. Yeah, it's all the Protestant Bibles I have. ESV is more accurate to the original language. Interesting. I've heard everyone describe that about every Bible version. How do we know which one's right? That was debate. I can find any Catholic teaching the Protestant. Alex, you gonna let that stand? Well, I mean, I'll be honest with the assumption. There's not a whole. I mean, I don't know. The assumption of Mary was kind of iffy, but a lot of the assumption is based off of historical evidence. Now, I personally believe in the assumption. Really, nothing historically. I just don't think Jesus will let his mother die. I mean, he didn't let any. He let a couple. He didn't let any. Couple. He didn't let Elijah die. So he definitely won't let his mother die. Hebrew and Latin. Alex, the original texts were not written in Latin. They were written in Greek and Hebrew and Aramaic. Now, there is a Latin translation called the Latin Vulgate, which is where I get my Bible from. My Bible is the translation of the Latin Vulgate. The Bible was not written in Latin. I use the Douay Rheims, if you're wondering, which is the Douay Rheims is it came out before the KJV. What's interesting is the Douay Rheims, at least the New Testament. The Old Testament has some differences with the KJV, but the New Testament in both versions, the KJV and the Douay Rheims, are pretty much the same. There's like no differences. It's kind of cool actually. And the Douay Rheims was translated by the Catholic Church, and then the KJV was, of course, translated by the Church of England, which is really the spirit. It's the religious ancestor to a lot of modern American Protestants, Presbyterians, Baptists. Well, Baptists actually spring from Calvinists. They're not Calvinists though, Alex. I know I don't like Calvinism either, but Calvinism, Baptists came out of Calvinism. It's so stupid. I didn't know that. I swear. I don't know, Alex. Alex, you been attacked by the papacy. There you go. Because of my very southern view on things, for the longest time I called it the papacy, or I'll say papal bill, or things like that. But no, it's papal. It's papacy. It took a while to fix that. Favorite book is Ecclesiastes. Is it Ecclesiastes or Ecclesiasticus? There's kind of two. Yeah, I know. Not all Baptists are Calvinists, but the Anabaptists, let's just say that, they came from Calvinists. I know Baptists don't believe in predestination, but um, they kind of springed out from that. It's like how Quakers springed out of Anglicans. They're not Anglicans, yeah, but they springed out of it. They branched from it. My wife got her family Bible restored a few years ago. This thing is massive. It has its own wooden box and family tree inside. That's cool. What's up, Scott? New stream. Who dis? What's going on? Alex and I, whenever his internet stops acting up, we're gonna talk a little bit about some religion. It's not gonna be a. I mean, we can talk about EU, of course, but Alex and I are going to talk a little bit about Protestantism and Catholicism. I'm a Catholic; he's Protestant, so we're gonna do what our faiths have been doing for the last 500 years, and argue, debate, try and kill each other. Just kidding, but hey, it's Nazo Servant Arc. What's up, man? Pretty active on Twitter. I like a lot of your stuff. Thanks for joining. That's where I know. That's where I know him from. I know him from Twitter. He makes a lot of great EU stuff. Big Tales of Jedi fan, which I love. Who will represent the Orthodox? No one cares about them. Just kidding. I love the Orthodox Church. I don't know. I don't have any Orthodox Christian friends. I have tons of Catholic friends, tons of Protestant friends. No Orthodox, which is weird. I love the Orthodox, but really, there's not much for the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church to debate. Mainly, it would be the Filioque. I think that's how you pronounce that term, which it's something to do with the Nicene Creed, and then of course the papacy. But beyond that, we have nothing else to really debate. Now, really, the reason why I chose, because I'm a Catholic, I'm actually converting to Catholicism. Alex knows this. But the reason why I chose the Catholic Church over the Orthodox Church is St. Irenaeus talked about that the head bishop of the church is in Rome. And that's why I chose the Catholic Church. Oh, no, I think he said that he basically said Peter was the bishop of Rome. So something like that. Something that Rome is kind of the head of the church. If he didn't say that, I probably would have chose Orthodox. I love both. I love both faiths. My mother is very supportive. My whole family is supportive. My mom, sister, and brother. I haven't told anyone else beyond that because I don't talk to them anyway. My family is kind of small. At least people I consider to be my family. My dad doesn't know. I don't talk to him though. So yes, they're very supportive, and I thank God for that. My mom. I mean, I can't drive yet. My mom has taken me to mass. In fact, she would go to mass with me for a while. She loves going to mass. She's not going to convert. She just doesn't agree with infant baptism. That's kind of her turnoff point. She grew up Southern Baptist. We both did. So it's she's in her 50s, so it's going to be a lot harder for her to kind of rethink because she's viewed baptism as she views baptism as an outward symbol of one's faith, and of course the Catholic Church doesn't teach that. So it's like she's grown up with it for so long. I follow a lot of Orthodox priests on TikTok. There's one in particular I follow, and I love. I love Orthodox. I just love the Orthodox Church. It's nice to hear that. Yeah. She is a great mom. She's very supportive of me. A lot of it is though. She knows that I do my research. I don't blindly follow, because I used to be anti-Catholic for a long time before I started converting, which is usually how Catholic converts are. We usually hate Catholicism, then we're like, oh wait, they're actually right, then we convert. Either we hate them or we just don't agree with them. I wouldn't say I hated them, but I considered Catholics Christians. I mean, I never said that they weren't Christian. They are Christians, of course. We were the first Christians. But I didn't agree with them. I don't hate anybody. I mean, I love everyone. I treat everyone the same. I don't care who you are. Well, if you're a criminal, maybe not you, but I don't. I mean, like I said, I don't care who you are. You know, I treat everyone the same. When I found out that it was the Catholic Church that compiled the Bible, or at least the New Testament. I say the Bible, but I really mean the New Testament. Council of Roman 382 is officially when we actually got an official church endorsed canon. I mean, we had one, Saint Athanasius the Great, in 361, I believe. He compiled the modern New Testament, but it wasn't accepted by the church until 382. And then it had me going, oh, I've been debating Catholics with their own book. So that's cool. Converted from Catholic to evangelicalism, and then before I was born. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad they returned home. Here's this disgusting Protestant.
Absolutely.
Freaking heretic. I'm just kidding.
That is me.
I can't hear you, Alex.
Hello?
I hear you now.
Okay.
Guys, I have a disgusting Protestant on my stream now.
Absolutely. Am I sounding okay?
Yeah, you sound a lot better now. Just kidding, of course. Oh man, I will murder Disney if they do that. Well, they can't do that. They don't have enough money to do that.
And they wouldn't want to anyway, because they don't like religion.
Disney probably hates the Catholic Church.
Yeah, probably hates most churches.
Probably every Christian church. Every church in general.
Yeah. Any church. Anybody that believes in Jesus, because that's bigoted these days.
Hey, look at this one.
PFP for the win. What do you mean? I'm the real deal. I'm just a guy in my bedroom. I don't know what you're trying to say here. I'm not a. There you go. We're both Matt now.
Yeah. My Discord,
I am Matt Jr.
Sure, it's Matt. Alex is the real deal when it comes to Christianity.
I don't know what he means by that. I'm really just a dude. I sit in my room all day. We're like the cult of Matt Wilkins. Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Start a petition. Yeah, no, I meant earlier when I was sending my text, I meant Ecclesiastes is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
The nothing new under the sun.
You've heard that a lot, actually.
You've heard that a lot?
Yeah, I had an algebra teacher last year. That's what he said. He said his favorite. You may be like, how did he start talking about the Bible? Well, we were talking about it in our small groups, and he kind of came over and saw that. And he said, yeah, that's my, he said Ecclesiastes is my favorite. Which I've heard that a lot. I mean, my favorite is the Gospel of John, which I think
my favorite is the Gospel, or if we're just talking about the Gospel part, it would be Luke, because Luke was the most, I guess, thorough with how he did stuff. He's very, what's the word for it? He's very, I don't know what the word is for it. He's very thorough. He's very, more evidence-based, I guess, with what he's talking about. He's like, yeah, this place, let me name it for you so you can go like check it out later if you want to, because this place is real. Go talk to this person. They saw what I saw. I like John too, but he's very very pro-heavy about what he's saying, which makes sense. But I don't know what I'm saying here.
What I really like about the Gospel of John is he was very clear in numerous spots in his gospel that Jesus is God. He was very clear about it. In fact, he was so clear about it that I believe in John 8 or 9, maybe 10, I don't remember. Jesus straight up says that Moses wrote of him, that he wrote of Jesus. So to any Muslim out there who, no offense Muslims, but to those Muslims who think the Bible doesn't say Jesus is God, or that Jesus himself doesn't say that, I mean, you're wrong. I mean, just
he says it everywhere.
You're wrong.
I mean, that's historic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
even an atheist would say like that's historically why he got put on the cross was because he was speaking blasphemy, or at least blasphemy and to the Pharisees.
to the
He kept
Jews,
calling
yeah,
himself God. That's what got him in trouble. That's what got them so upset with him, was that he kept
yeah.
calling
And
himself
one of my
God.
favorite verses of the Bible is John 8:58, where Jesus says, "Before Abraham was born, I am." Obviously, quoting Exodus chapter 3, verse 14.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we're, when Moses is talking to the burning bush, and Moses says, when I go see the
Mm.
Israelites, they're gonna want to know, what is your name? And God's like,
I
I am
am.
that I am. And I love that. And Jesus,
Yeah.
I mean, he says that a lot. There's a lot of I am statements in
Yeah.
John. I am the way, the
Yeah.
truth, and the life, all kinds of stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
John's great.
yeah. And I mean,
But as
the fact that Jesus says straight up, Moses wrote of me. I mean, if that doesn't prove that Jesus is
yeah,
Yahweh, I
right.
don't know what, or
Yeah.
at least biblically it
Well,
proves it. I mean, you
maybe
don't have to agree
resurrecting
with
from the
it.
dead also helps. But
Well, they see Muslims don't believe that he resurrected from the
yeah, I
dead.
know they believe he like bailed out last second and tricked everybody. God is the great deceiver. He deceived everybody into thinking that he died on the cross, but he actually didn't. He
Yeah,
ascended
some
at the
other
last.
guy.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They really believe that if someone died on the cross, it wasn't Jesus; it was somebody else. And it's like, have you not
Yeah.
read the Gospels?
Yeah.
Mary was there. John the
Hmm.
Apostle was there. At least we assume it's John the Apostle. And Mary Magdalene was there. Three people who followed Jesus. One of those people literally gave birth to Jesus.
Hmm.
So it's like, do you really think your mother is going to confuse you with somebody else? No,
Yeah.
she's not. That's not how.
Yeah.
That's not a mom thing. Mother Mary
Yeah.
loved his son very much. So
Yeah.
to say that she would get confused is just illogical.
I mean,
But
that's most mothers that care about
that's
their
all
kids. Like
mothers
if
usually. It
yeah,
should be all
yeah,
mothers.
it should be all, but it's not. But I mean, if your mom saw you dead, like she would know that was you or not. If it was some random guy, she'd be like, that's not Lance. That's somebody else. So
Yeah. But I mean, and the reason why, because people have asked me, why do you reject Islam? And I could give a million reasons, but the number one reason is because something completely historical. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Jesus, but what is historically true is that he was crucified on a cross on the orders of Pontius Pilate. You can say whatever you want about Jesus, but he was
yeah,
historically crucified. There was a man named Jesus
yeah,
of Nazareth who was born in Bethlehem, baptized in the Jordan River, who was crucified on the orders of Pontius Pilate. That is
hmm,
undeniable, objective fact.
yeah.
And
Not even
Islam,
atheists would debate you on that one.
right? Many atheists have admitted that he was a real person, one, and that he died on a cross.
There's
He was
three
crucified.
historical facts that we know for certain, which is one that Jesus died on the cross, that people claimed to have seen him after he died, and that the tomb was empty. Those no historian can say didn't happen with any ounce of. If they want to consider themselves like a respected historian, they can't deny those three facts.
Right.
Which is that. So now you can debate like what are the best explanations for those three facts, but those are the facts we have. Now, I would say, of course, that for the people seeing Jesus in the dead is because he actually did. And as for the tomb, well, that's a whole thing about the fact that there was probably Roman guards guarding that tomb. And the people that were following Jesus were a bunch of fishermen and tax collectors. So there's no way they overpowered trained guards who've spent their entire life training to fight. And plus, back then with the Romans, if a Roman failed to do their job, they were at the threat of death. So they're most likely very alert. And it was a big boulder, so that's going to take people to move. So I think the best explanation is simply that God moved the freaking stone. So I think the best explanation is the one that's already been told, but people
Yeah.
don't want to accept that because then they have to accept Jesus, and that's a problem.
Well, what I think is interesting about Muslims, because I've debated Muslims a lot, and
Hmm.
oh, no offense to any Muslims here or in
Yeah.
chat, you can be Muslim, I don't care, but we're telling you why we don't agree with your religion, which I think we have a right to do that.
Mm.
Not that we don't hate you. You can practice whatever you want, and you're still
Mm.
welcome here. But
Mm.
this is why we don't agree with Islam. But And I think Islam is a religion of peace. I love Islam. I love the people of Islam. People who
I
practice it.
think the
Most of them are good people.
I think the
Like
people who
Christians are
practice
good.
it are peaceful. I don't think the religion itself is. I think if you read enough of the Quran and other texts that they accept as holy and right, that you'll start to see. Well, one of the more interesting things about Islam, for the little bit that I have studied of it, is that early on, when Muhammad is not very powerful, doesn't have many followers, he talks about peace a whole lot, like a lot. But then, as you get further into the years, the more power and influence has, less peace talks are actually discussed, which is the opposite of what you see with God of the Bible, who's very consistent. Like, people try to argue that the God of the Old Testament is way more violent than the God of the New Testament. But if you actually look, God is just as merciful in both. If you pay attention, there's multiple times where God could have ended, the line of the Jews in the Old Testament, but he doesn't, and he's forgiving and merciful even in the Old Testament. So you just see a lot more of the wrath side in the Old Testament, but that's just because that wasn't really the focus of the New Testament. Though Jesus talks about hell more in the New Testament than he does about heaven or anything else. So, but I think it's weird that the leader of the entire religion would speak a peace early on when he didn't have much power and influence, and then once he did have that power and influence, it kind of switched. He also didn't believe that he at first he wasn't into the whole multiple marriage thing, and then once he was kind of in charge of everything, he's like, oh yeah, I can marry 9 people. And so it's just kind of things like that where I look at the Old Testament, I look at the people that we follow, and all those people were flawed, and they always humble themselves in front of God. Where it seems like on a whim, Muhammad would get a vision from God or something, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, you can marry 9 people. That's fine. You can do this and that." It's like God confide or conform to whatever Muhammad wanted instead of Muhammad conforming to what God wanted. I don't know if that was understandable because I was
Well,
having a little
I can admit there is some hypocrisy there in Islam, but I still do believe that the majority of it is about peace and love, which I think most religions are. So that's just my view. But
That's fair.
it's really there's a lot of theological things I don't like about Islam.
I think if you study it more, you start to see issues, but that's fair enough. I do think that the people who practice it are very peaceful and loving people. I just think that the origins of the religion itself are uh, just covered in not so great things.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I think is that I've been told about Muslims have told to me is, they'll ask me, hey, prove the Bible or show me in the Bible where Jesus says that he's God. And I sit here like, I've thought about it and I'm like, why are they asking me that? It's like
It's
if
because
I
they don't
asked
read the
them,
Bible. They read
it's like
the
if I
Quran.
asked them, wait, it's like if I asked them, hey, prove to me Muhammad took over Mecca in the Quran. It's like, that's an Islamic belief, and I'm asking them to prove that using their holy book. That doesn't make any sense. The more I thought about it, and the more I read into the Quran endorsed the Bible. The Quran says that the Bible, including the New Testament had been compiled by Muhammad's time. So, and that's the reason why, because the Quran states that it is basically a successor to the New Testament, kind of like how the New Testament was a successor to the Tanakh.
Which is an issue because Jesus said that he was the last, there wasn't going to be more prophets or anything after him.
Right, but see what I'm trying to say is the reason why Muslims are so adamant about trying to prove their beliefs in the Bible is because their holy book says it basically says it's in communion with the Bible. In the sense that they don't contradict each other, which they do. The Quran contradicts the Bible all the time. So, and then they'll say, well, the Bible's corrupted. Okay, then why are you asking me to prove beliefs in the Bible then if you believe it's corrupted?
Exactly.
So it's not corrupted. We have the text. The text matches most Bible translations. It may not be perfect, but most translations say the same thing. So,
pretty much.
I mean, that's why I don't really care too much about translation someone uses, because most translations say the same thing. So,
Yeah,
or
no,
at
they
least
do.
generally the same thing. There may be some verses that are not. I don't think any
Like the
translation is perfect, by the way. I
like the
think,
NIV or the NLT does not do word for word what the Greek and Hebrew says. It conforms it to a modern audience to try to make it more digestible, but still relatively saying the same things, but it changes a lot of words and stuff to make it more understandable. Whereas if you read something like the ESV, you're gonna get basically in English, word for word, what Greek and Hebrew says, which is why sometimes if you read the ESV, you got some weird sentence on because it's doing it as best it can, the translation, so it comes off slightly weird. Whereas if you read other versions, you're like, that makes more sense, but it's less accurate to the source because it tries to make it easier to understand.
well, I just, I don't know. Muslims, when they say those kind of things, it's really
Yeah.
hypocritical. But I mean, whatever. They can believe whatever they want.
Well, as I go with all things when I discuss anything like this with anybody, whether they be atheist, Muslim, whatever, you know, I I try to make sure that when I'm discussing this with somebody that they know that the reason I'm discussing with them is because of how much I care about them. And I truly believe, that their faith, they don't believe in Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior, is a creation. And it would be unloving of me to not say anything because that means I don't care about their faith. So whenever I approach a topic, it's never I'm not disrespecting you or your beliefs. I'm telling you because I love you and I care about you, and that's why I have to tell you about Jesus because that's the most important thing in the world. So
Well, I think, Alex, if people reject Jesus, dust your feet off and move on, as the scriptures say. So that's what I do. If someone tells me they don't want to believe, okay, I mean, that's their decision.
no, I can't like if somebody's like, I don't talk about this anymore, we're done. Then sure, but if they're willing to have the conversation, then I'm always gonna have the conversation because I care about them. It'd be like if my brother was doing heroin or something, and like I knew that the path he was on is bad, right? It's like, I mean, he's enjoying that heroin. It makes him feel really good. I mean, I could just let him do that, but if I know the consequences of what comes from that, then it'd be unloving of me not to say something. I guess is the sense that I'm going for. But obviously, if my brother's like, this is my life, don't tell me what to do. You're not gonna convince me otherwise. But like, that's fair. You know what? Do you? I'll pray for you. Then I'm all. He's here.
Alex, you are a robot.
I'm a bot. I was saying blue pig here.
I was that blue pig.
This is why I was scared about coming on. My internet's garbage.
Get better internet, scrub. Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
Well, this is a pretty ironic comment.
What?
I agree, Ethan. Well, it's not ironic. It's just whatever. You know what I mean? I don't think I'll be able to do. It's okay. I have a friend from school that wants to do it, and I think I'll bring her on. I meant to do that the other day, but she was busy. So, I probably do. I'm still gonna. Well, I need to get OBS freaking worked on, and I hate OBS, but it's okay though, Blue Pig. Well, Alex, let's kind of talk about what we were going to talk about.
Right.
The Catholic Church versus Protestantism. Yeah. The debate that's been raging for 500 years.
Yeah.
It won't
I don't think it'll be
end.
solved today.
It won't.
Yeah.
Well, you had told me, you messaged me, you said, while we were talking, before I got on, you talked about, you said, why leave it to church tradition as part of the salvation deal? See, I think, when See, when I say tradition, or when Catholics say tradition, I think a lot of people don't understand what that means. Tradition there's two types of traditions in the Catholic faith, or just traditions in general. And we distinguish it by a capital T and a lowercase t. Lowercase t traditions are like what you would think of a tradition, like things that are passed, like events or activities that are kind of passed down. When it comes to tradition in the Catholic Church, we use a capital T. We use a capital T because we believe that these traditions were originally taught by Jesus. And these traditions are not really traditions. They're more of teachings that have been passed down. And we know that Jesus taught things that are not Bible because the last verse in the Gospel of John explicitly tells us this. It tells us that basically John writes that if we were to put everything in the Bible, we would not have enough pages to do so. Or at least everything that Jesus did, we wouldn't have enough pages to do so. In fact, I'll read the verse off in the ESV. I have it on my phone here. I don't have an actual ESV Bible, but I'm going to read the verse off. It's John, I think 21, verse 20 something. It's the last verse. I'm going to read it. And this is the ESV. Now, there are also many other things that Jesus did were every one of them to be written, I suppose that the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. This means that many of the things that Jesus did were not in the Bible. Now, I'd argue, and I think you can agree with this, Alex, that every single thing Jesus did, rather it be written down or not, is just as important as anything else. The things that he did that weren't written are just as important as the things that were written. You can agree with that, right, Alex?
So the things that he did outside of what's shown in the Bible is just as important.
Yes. You would agree with that, right?
To an extent, because everything that's in the Bible was specifically for us as believers. So if it's not put in there, then it's not as important as what's written within the text. I'm not saying it's not important, only that whatever's put in the Bible is specifically meant for us to read and digest. And so that would be the most important thing, because that's the word that he's giving to all of mankind.
Right. But there are other things like, let's say Mary. Now, I don't think the church teaches that Jesus taught Mary was sinless or whatever. He had no reason to do that. But if they're not in the Bible, it probably didn't have anything to do with our salvation. Like, because I think you can go to heaven and believe Mary was a sinner. Because, that doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter in terms of salvation. Now, Mary matters in terms of salvation because she gave birth to salvation itself. But not to say that she was required for salvation. Like, don't get me wrong here, but she has a role in our salvation only because she gave birth to salvation itself.
Sure.
So,
but it's not really anything that. It's not really anything that is because of her own merit. It's simply what God chose to do through her.
Obviously, it was God's will. But she still had there's a term that goes around. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's co-mediatrix is basically what it means. Or no, not co-mediatrix. That's something different. It's co-redemptrix or it's something weird like that. A lot of people say that people think that, we're calling Mary a co-redeemer. She's not she's a co-redeemer in the sense that she was involved in our redemption, but she's not co-meaning like a duo, like she was required. Co can mean with as well. And that's what the church teaches, but that's something different. Let's go back to what we're talking about.
Before
Mary is a completely different.
Before you continue, maybe we could both give our, I don't know if you have the same answers or separate answers for this, but Blue Pig asks, does everyone pre-Bible go to hell? And I wanted to address that. I want to say first off that the Bible kind of starts at the beginning of time, or the beginning of creation, so there really wouldn't be anybody pre-Bible.
Starting with Moses.
But, yeah, well, I would say that the answer that I would give, at least, I don't know if Lance would agree with me, is that the redemption of Jesus Christ on the cross was retroactive. It didn't just apply to the people that were around at that time or would be in the future, but also to the people who looked to the promised Messiah in the Old Testament, because they didn't know the name, but they trusted in God that the Messiah would come, and that Messiah was Jesus. So anybody that trusted in that promise would retroactively be saved through the blood of Christ, would be my answer.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. But I mean, I guess. But see, I mean, also with the Old Testament, especially if you read Leviticus, you can see that there's many ceremonial things that Jews had to so the
Right,
ceremonial
but
things,
that's
but also
because
things that are
Jesus.
like, for example, like slaughtering. See, I think what's so cool about the Catholic Church is our liturgy, our mass, is so similar to what Jews do. Now, it's not the same because we're not Jews. It's the same concepts. Like, for example, the altar in a Catholic church, there is a sacrifice being done there, but instead of it being a lamb being slaughtered like it was in Judaism, it's the bread and wine becoming the body and blood of Christ, which we consider to be a sacrifice because Christ sacrificed himself to be our salvation. So that's
I get.
so basically it's the
Mm,
same. A lot of the same concepts. It does kind of the same thing. Like
yeah.
when Jews slaughtered lambs and put them over their shoulders, that was done for the redemption of their sins. Well, as Catholics, we believe the same thing about the body and blood of Christ. So it's like it's the new covenant, right?
Yeah.
So now, of course, Alex is a Baptist. They don't really have that. I was Baptist, so that's how I know that. So
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, at least the way that I understand the Old Testament, which, I mean, I'm no Bible scholar. I haven't gone to school for this or anything. I'm just an everyday believer. Um, but I mean, the way it looks like throughout the Old Testament is that you have the Ten Commandments, right? Just follow these 10 rules and you're good. But not a single person in the Old Testament follows all 10. Even Moses failed to follow all 10, and that was the point, because we're all sinners. The whole point of the Old Testament was to show how we couldn't do it on our own. So we had the blood sacrifices with goats and lambs and stuff as a precursor to the ultimate lamb that would be slaughtered on the cross, which was Jesus. So everything that was done in the Old Testament was just a preamble to the ultimate sacrifice that we'd have in the New Testament. And that new covenant is, as you said, it's the new covenant. So all the stuff that's done in the Old Testament isn't necessary anymore. You don't need, and I guess this is another thing with Catholicism and having priests and stuff. The way that most Protestants would look at it is that you have this new covenant with Jesus. You no longer have to go to somebody else as an intermediary for you. You can just get down, on your hands and knees and pray to God yourself. You couldn't do that in the Old Testament. You had to go to a priest in order to have that happen, or not a priest, or a priest, Jewish priest. But now you can just talk to Jesus yourself, and that was the thing that wasn't possible before, which is the big difference. I mean, you might already agree with that part, but I just don't. I see the appeal of going, well, look at us, look at how holy we are, look at how we're so similar to the Jews of the Old Testament. But I don't necessarily think just because it's similar to things done in the Old Testament that makes that the de facto way to go. There's a wonderful book written by C.S. Lewis, which is called Mere Christianity, which gives the bare essentials of what it means to believe in Jesus. And it also deals with him, how he used to be an atheist, and how his life has changed with Jesus. One of the interesting things he said before too was, I used to look at the world and how cruel and unjust it was, and I thought, how could God possibly exist in such a world? But then I continued to ponder it, and I realized, how can I call this world crooked? A man cannot call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. And I just thought that was incredibly profound. But anyway, I got a little bit off topic. I'm sorry.
Well, I think a lot of what you said there's pretty true, but there's one thing I wanna mention. You talked about how we basically don't have to follow anything in the Old Testament anymore, and that's not necessarily true. There are still some things we have to follow. The only things that are somewhat null and void, I don't like to use that term, but is the ceremonial and civic laws of the Old Testament. Now, of course, and then other things like laws pertaining to priests and stuff, of course, that doesn't apply to us. We're not priests. But the Ten Commandments, we are still binded to. The Ten Commandments, every human being on the face of this planet is binded to that, rather they're Gentile or Jew. They are binded to those laws no matter what.
So I should clarify. I wasn't saying that those.
Okay. Well, I mean,
those
you kind
rules
of
were null and
say
void.
everything. And I
Sure.
think
Maybe I misphrased what I was saying. What I was saying is that in the Old Testament, you had the 10 Commandments. Follow those 10, right? If you follow those 10, then you're good with God. And not a single person in the Old Testament could follow those 10 to the letter. Now, we still follow those commandments because they're reiterated in the New Testament. In the New Covenant, it basically says the same things. The difference is, though, now it's not based on our own merit, because every time with our own merit, we would fail. But under God's blood, we are seen, even though we're not. And so it's not that we are perfect, because of course we're all sinners. So we do the best that we can, and we strive to be more like Jesus every day. But we're not binded necessarily in the fact that if we mess up on the single 10 commandment, straight to hell. No, because the blood of Jesus paid for it. So we don't have to worry about, if you messed up, you're done. Whereas before, that was more of an issue, which is why they sacrificed animals and stuff, because that was a precursor to the ultimate sacrifice.
Well, Alex, so you're basically saying that in the Old Testament, the only way to get to heaven was by your works, and basically God saw, well, that's impossible, so He sent His Son. See, here's
that was always the plan. That was always the plan.
But why would He do that, though? If God knew that we cannot if God knew that we cannot follow the laws, which we can't, and He can't, but if God knew that we cannot follow the laws because we're sinners, why would He give us those laws in the first place? Wouldn't He be tyrannical? Why would He punish us for that?
Why wouldn't He just bring Jesus in the Old Testament then? I mean, we could play that game.
He was in the Old Testament.
Well,
he was God in the Old Testament, according to Christ Himself. See, this is why I don't believe in faith alone anymore, because faith without works is dead. And
that's not what. See, I think that's a caricature of what Protestants believe. It's not that works don't matter. It's so.
But
the
you
difference
don't think they have a role in your salvation?
Yes, they do, because if you're not practicing good works, then do you actually believe in Jesus? Because if you're just sinning left and right, not practicing those good works, then you clearly don't actually believe in what you say you believe in. However, it's nothing by our own merit that gets us into heaven. It is always what Jesus did that sanctifies us. And so works are important because it shows the fruit of the Spirit. It shows that you are true in what you believe and that you are honestly following God. Because if you are just like, oh, I'm going to go have sex, before marriage today, I'm going to go do this and that, then you don't believe in what Jesus called you to do. So don't call yourself a Christian. But the works are to show the fruit of your labor, the fruit of Christ's Spirit within you. But it is justification through Jesus' sacrifice, and then sanctification is through time of being a Christian. Over time, you'll become more and more like Christ. At least that's the goal. So it's not that works don't matter. It's that
said everything that Catholics believe about salvation, because we believe when we say faith and works, yeah, we're going to sin, so we can't have faith alone. So because many Protestants that I've talked with, I used to be one. Let's make this clear. I used to be an evangelical Protestant.
I used to be nothing. So I used to be nothing.
Be a disgusting prostitute. Don't worry. But anyway, see what I was, and I was Baptist, by the way. So growing up, I was taught that all you have to do is when you pray basically the sinner's prayer. Well, we didn't really. My church didn't really have the sinner's prayer, but all basically
No.
we were taught, hey, if you accept Jesus in your heart, you're set for eternity. I
Yeah.
mean, no, that's nowhere is that taught in the Bible. It's now
I think
before
it is.
John 3:16, that word believe, and even Billy Graham. Billy Graham didn't even think, that word believe. It wasn't just, okay, if you admit that God is real, then you're going, no, because Satan believes God's real, so that doesn't matter. You can believe he's real, but Christ said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments.
Yes.
So basically,
Sure.
that is when we talk about faith and works being salvation, or that's how we attain salvation. Obviously, we're not saying we can't. And
When you
and,
say
and as
attain,
Catholics, we
that's-
believe in. Let me finish.
Yeah, sorry.
That sounded rude, Alex. I'm sorry. When I said let me finish, I didn't mean.
No, you're
that
fine.
sound-
You're fine.
My bad.
It's your stream.
But see, of course, as we are saved by grace alone. Let me make that clear. I think grace and faith, they're different things. A lot of people don't understand that. They're very different. We are saved through grace alone, which is I think the Latin phrase is sola gratia. Martin Luther made a whole bunch of there's sola fide, which is faith alone, sola scriptura, scripture alone, sola Christus, which I think is Christ alone. But we are obviously saved through grace alone, through Christ alone, right? All Christians can agree with that. But my issue with faith alone is basically, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to get across here. But
I understand.
What you described, Alex, is basically what Catholics believe in. That if we don't have any work, we don't have any faith.
Then maybe
and that's
Catholics just don't. Catholics and Protestants seem to think they have a disagreement here, and they don't. Because I've been taught since I've been coming to church.
A lot of Protestants think that if you just believe, no matter your works, to a lot of evangelicals, now obviously not all Protestants, but to a lot of evangelicals, if you simply have faith in God, it doesn't matter what your works are, but that's fundamentally unbiblical. I mean, it's contrary.
Well, I've never heard that by any popular.
I have, because I
Christian
used to
speaker.
be one of those.
Well, maybe you mean like at your church, because that's personal anecdotal experience.
I have TikTok, and I talk a lot of religion on there. I've been told
TikTok is a terrible place to know what. TikTok is a place full of progressive Christians. Let's be honest here for one.
But I know TikTok sounds weird, but there is a huge Christian community on there of all denominations, but the idea of once saved, always saved through faith alone is a fundamental doctrine in so many Christian churches now. That's because it's nowhere in the Bible. It's a newer belief. The idea of faith alone started with Martin Luther. Let's just be clear here. I guess maybe it didn't start with him, but he's the one who started getting it traction. And good luck, Matt. People have been trying that for a long time now. It's not going to work. I get my first communion in November, so
that's okay.
Y'all got till November. Anyway,
that's okay.
I don't know. I just think that because, and I'm not saying you say this, Alex, but so many people say that works are irrelevant in salvation, and that's just
sure. But
it's so contrary to the book of James.
The issue is for you though, is that you have the Catholic Church. They have a very set of things to believe in, all that stuff, right? So like as a Catholic, what are the do's and don'ts with Christianity? Apart from Catholicism, you have the multiple different denominations. Now, most of the denominations I've seen, and that I've seen videos of and stuff, at least the leaders of them, I can't speak for individuals because individuals are individuals. But as for the leadership roles, I've seen pretty much every single Christian that I've ever met say that you don't just get to willy-nilly do whatever you want. You get to go to heaven. They say, you're going to fall short because you are a sinner. And you are not Jesus. You are not perfect. but your failures, your sin do not define you, because by putting your faith in Christ, in the sacrifice that he paid for you, the debt is paid. So you're not supposed to purposely screw up, obviously, but if you fall short, don't be afraid. God's not going to love you anymore. He's already paid for that. Every time to follow God better than you did the last time. It's not you get to do whatever you want. It's that don't be afraid that one messed up and you're done. You have that assurance in the faith alone belief, which is that you are not strong enough to destroy God's plan. Your failures, your sins are not stronger than God's love and power. And God's love and power is stronger than you. So don't let your failures stop you from believing in God, because he paid for it. So you're good in that sense. Not that you get to just do whatever you want. And that's what I've primarily heard from most Christian teachers and speakers. I'm sorry if the ones you've talked to or heard online have said otherwise, but I don't think that speaks for the good majority of Protestants.
Well, I don't know. It's just typically from a lot of churches that I've seen and been to, faith alone is the primary teaching. Well, primary is weird, but that's a weird term. But in terms of salvation, that's what they teach.
For like the Southern Baptist church that I go to, you have certain so I went to church for many years, but they said if you want to actually start helping out at church, you want to like help out with live streams, help do stuff around the church and actually like be considered a member of this church, you got to like learn what the Southern Baptists believe for this church specifically. Anyway, you can come to church as much as you want, but if you want to have like more of a leadership role, then these are the certain things that Southern Baptists believe. So I looked at all that, I had to like study all that and decide, is that something that I'm willing to accept? And one of those things is faith alone, and eternal salvation. Once you have it forever. You can't lose it. There are some people who disagree with that.
I'm one of those people.
Some people would argue that simply that, well, if you end up falling short and leaving God, then you never actually believed in God, which I have issues with. But that's one of the things that's kind of argued in Southern Baptist circles. Away from church, then the reason you fell away is because you never actually believed in God. And so it's not a matter of, because if you actually believe in God, then your salvation wouldn't be lost. It's only lost because you didn't really, because you left. But I don't know if I agree with that aspect, but that would be primarily what I hear a lot of Southern Baptists argue.
Well, I'm going to answer this question from Matt.
I'm not a fan of John Calvin.
Yeah, neither
am
I.
I'm not a Calvinist. He says good things too.
Infallible. Papal infallibility is an interesting doctrine because I don't think a lot of people understand it. We don't believe that he's infallible every single thing he said. No, we don't believe he's infallible with everything he says. Because that's not how papal infallibility works. Papal infallibility means that whenever he does, there's very rare occasions when the Pope will rule infallibly. These are very rare. This hasn't happened in years. And what does that word infallible simply mean? All it means is without error. It doesn't mean that he's divine. It doesn't mean that he's perfect. It just simply means what he's saying is without error.
How can a human be without error, though?
If I were to... Alex,
all the prophets of the Bible were full of error. That's all I'm wondering.
But they've also speaking things that are infallible. Like when the prophet Isaiah talked about a Messiah, he was speaking infallibly there because that was going to happen. So listen to me, Alex. Let me say something and I'll ask if you think that's infallible or not. Because remember, all it means is without error. God is triune. Would you say that's infallible?
I would say that you're right. I mean, but technically anything.
So I'm speaking without error then.
I believe that that's true, but somebody could make an argument that it's not, which would make it not infallible. If somebody can
Alex,
make
you're a Trinitarian. That's that's wrong. We can prove it in the Bible that it's wrong. So me simply saying God is triune, it's not that we believe it, Alex.
That's true.
It's true. That's what me saying that God is triune is not wrong.
Mm.
So and many of the statements that the Pope has said that is quote unquote infallible, you probably agree with most of them. So see, and I do believe that Catholic doctrine is perfect. I do believe that. And if we're going to debate papal infallibility, we got to debate the Pope himself, I should say. Because the Pope, we believe, is the vicar of Christ on earth. We believe he was given the power from Christ that we see in Matthew 16, 18 through 19, where Christ says that, on this rock I'll build my church. And before you even say, Peter's not the rock, not mocking people, that's just how I quote people. All the church fathers, including the apostolic fathers like Ignatius, Polycarp, Clement, I think is especially important because he followed Peter. They interpreted that verse as speaking about Peter, not Christ. Why would that even make sense anyway? Christ is talking to Peter, on this rock I will build my church. He's talking to Peter. So
I don't
and then if you also look, one more thing.
Continue.
In Matthew chapter 18, verse 18, Christ, and in John chapter 20 says something very similar. Christ says, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you shall loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. That is papal authority. That's church authority. And that's essentially Christ's power is what he's giving his church, the members of his church, his apostles, really, which are the first bishops, the first leaders of the church. So when we talk about papal infallibility, you have to kind of regress back and remember, as Catholics, we believe that the Pope has power that Christ gave Peter, which Peter then started passing down. So you have to debate that first before we can get to papal infallibility.
What? So you quoted Matthew chapter 18, verse 18, right?
Yes.
But what about
it should be?
What about the other verses surrounding it, though? How does that go to Peter? Well, because
Matthew chapter 18 is something different. It's not about Peter. It's talking about.
In that specific section, in that specific paragraph, it doesn't really talk about Peter at all. It says if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not, then take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he resists to receive them to church, let him be to you as a Gentile, a tax collector. Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you lose,
that is church authority, Alex. That's church authority. Go to Matthew or go to verse 16. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church, and then the church will decide. That is church authority. That is what we do as Catholics all the time when we see heresy. When we see heresy, if it's in our diocese, we tell our priest. So I mean that's church authority, and then that's why verse 18 is so important, because it's Christ explaining why the church can do that. Why they can let him be to you as a Gentile or a tax collector, right? Basically, excommunication is what that means. So that's why he says that in verse 18, so we can he's providing an explanation as to why the church can do that, because they have power that Christ gave them.
Oh, also, actually, Matt had asked me something. He asked me why I'm not a fan of John Calvin. I don't dislike John Calvin. I think he says plenty of things that are, biblical. My issue mainly is with his belief in free will, what has been turned into Calvinism based off of his beliefs. People say it's from the Bible, but that's a whole other question. Basically, John Calvin believed in some sort of determinism / non-determinism. The Calvinist have some that are more deterministic with beliefs, have some weird middle ground where everything's determined, but you're still free, which I feel is contradictory They say it's not because God's great and stuff. You just and it's, well, God made himself understandable to us because the whole you're free but you're not free is a contradiction. Whereas the Holy Trinity, I may not be able to fully comprehend that because I am just one person, a human person, one being. I can't fully fathom one being, but there's nothing contradictory about that statement. It's just weird. But I believe. Nah, I mean, I could be persuaded otherwise. I'm only 21. I have a long life ahead of me. But am I not sounding? Am I still sounding bad?
A little bit. I mean, we can generally understand what you're saying, but you are speaking like a protocol droid, so.
Oh, fair. No, I don't. I don't believe. I believe in libertarian free will, which means that every human
Based.
free.
Libertarians are based.
Libertarian free will. Yeah, I believe in libertarian free will, which means that everyone is free to make their own choices. Because if feminism is true, that would mean that God is using some people to go to hell, and the Bible clearly states that God desires no man to enter hell, and it's people's free choices that are there. So I would have to choose, but that's a whole other topic with Calvinism. But that's why I'm not the big fan of John Calvin.
John Calvin was an interesting fellow. It's like I don't even know why he would think that's a good idea to teach. I mean, then that would basically mean okay, then we're all freaking robots, you know. So if God sent someone to hell, then that means He designed them to go to hell. Why would a loving God do that?
I would agree with that logic. However, I want a straw man. I want to so they have certain arguments that are a bit stronger than just simply that we're robots. They try to make it be like, so every good action you do is that's determined by God. Because goodness comes from God, and all freely by you. So that way you could still be like face the consequences of your own actions, not God can still be. The whole thing is I feel sovereignty as like this huge thing, but I think sovereignty is who am I? I'm just some guy on the internet. But sovereignty doesn't mean I'm in control of literally everything. Having everyone be like puppet strings on my sovereignty is sovereign above all, right? But that doesn't really imply that he has to be micromanaging everything. A God that's greater than that doesn't need to micromanage everything. He could be so great that he can orchestrate all things a free person chooses to do according to his plan outside of time. So whatever you do, you already knows what you do and can plan from a mature past. It's already been out before you even thought it. But the difference between my belief is I believe I freely made my decision, got counted from that from the past, whereas Calvinists would be saying I was always meant to make that decision, and I don't think that works. Do I still sound like a robot?
Somewhat, but we got the point. Look, I think Matt, you may be disagreeing. So nothing is preordained. God doesn't know who will accept or reject him in life until it happens.
I
think he does know, but he doesn't preordain it himself. I think that's kind of
Matt. I guess it depends on. So if God knows from the beginning of time what decisions you'll make throughout your entire life, right? Like, so if you're watching, you like sports, Matt, more than I do. So if you have to go to work, you don't have time to watch a game, and so you record it on your TV, right? And then later on you go to watch that game, right? So you recorded the game, but you went to work and your friends are talking about the outcome of the game, right? So you already know who won in the end. You already heard that from your friends at work. But does that mean that everybody on the field didn't make their own free choices while being on the field? No, they came to their own free choices. You just know the outcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's basically what the church teaches, our Catholic Church teaches. Basically the same thing. Because I think if he designed people and just, it's like, if he designed people to go to hell, if he thought, okay, well, I'm gonna create this person and I'm gonna make them do all these things, and I'm gonna throw them into hell as punishment for something I made them do. It's like that completely contradicts the point of God, and it also contradicts the whole point of the freaking crucifixion. I mean, that was
they would argue not, but
mankind, not God's elect.
To be fair, I would have to. I'm trying to be fair because I know plenty of Calvinists that are people that I respect and stuff. My old youth pastor is a Calvinist, but I would, I'm trying to steel man the argument, but I don't exactly know how to. But they do have more compelling arguments for why they believe what they believe, and it's not as simple as they think that you're a robot with no choice, but it's a complicated matter. And so I was just looking into Calvinism and seeing what they say. It's more nuanced than I think I'm making it sound. But ultimately, what it comes down to is what I think we're both saying, which is an issue for me. If you keep studying it, that's what it comes down to.
I mean, honestly, I haven't studied Calvinism that extensively. I mean, I've never been a Calvinist. I've really only debated evangelicals and Muslims. Evangelicals because I used to be one. And then Muslims because I just think it's interesting.
Here's the thing about Calvinism: if it's true, Lance, then you were always determined from eternity past to become a Catholic, and it wasn't ultimately your choice. And my belief that you're wrong about Catholicism was also determined by God. Therefore, I'm ultimately not responsible for my belief that Catholicism isn't necessarily the one and only way. So ultimately, it's God's fault that I'm like this, under the belief of Calvinism. So
I knew that outcome after the game was played, but I didn't know what the outcome would be until after the game was played. So I'm not the Alpha and Omega.
I'm using an analogy, in the sense that God already knows the decisions that would be made by you, but he didn't make those decisions for you. You made those decisions, and he accounted for that in his ultimate plan of salvation, right? Because he's outside of time. So he already knew. Just because he knew what you were going to do doesn't make you not free. It doesn't mean that he was controlling your actions. He just knew the decisions you would make. So it's not him controlling you. It's him simply knowing what you would do. Oh, he's doing the devil's advocate. I see.
Well, I think it's interesting because if predestination is real, then God predestined me to become Catholic, which, I mean, according to a lot of Protestants, that's the Church of Satan. So,
well, I don't think it's the Church of Satan.
I know you don't, Alex, but I've seriously been told that.
I'm sorry.
Well, I thank you, but it's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, it means then that you didn't come to this decision ultimately of your own fruition. It means that you chose, you chose the right path, but not because you discovered it for yourself. It's because God made you to understand it. And so therefore...
Yeah, Matt, that's not what Calvinism teaches, though. Not from what I know.
No, it's not that God knows
that your decisions.
He predetermined what you would do from eternity past.
Yeah, but
yeah. And as for
the idea of God simply knowing what you'll do versus God actually doing it for you before you're even born, those are different things, Matt.
Remember, he's playing devil's advocate. I don't think he believes this. He's just trying to strongman he's trying to steel man the argument for the opposing side that he doesn't agree with. I'll say
Matt,
two.
what? I know you, Matt. I know you're Protestant, but do you have a particular denomination you follow?
And I'll say to preordained and stuff. Yeah, God predetermined things in the sense that He already knew the outcome. So He already knew that, you know, Matt was going to believe in Jesus, and He knew that I was going to. He knew that you were going to, because He's outside of time. But it's so it's preordained in that sense that He already knew the outcome and has planned everything according to that. But it wasn't Him throwing us around puppets, making all those things to be.
Matt
Oh,
he's a Calvinist, but he's also a Reformed evangelical.
He's joking.
So who
He's
knows?
playing devil's advocate.
Maybe he's a Waru.
I am Southern Baptist. Yeah, Maru is definitely because he's obviously the greatest character in Star Wars. He must be Catholic.
And I don't want that thing to be in communion with us. So Protestants, you can have him.
But what if Waru like becomes the next pope? He's gonna be fallible.
not gonna
You're gonna have to
say
trust
that,
him.
He'll be lucky if he becomes a priest, let alone the pope.
Well, are you specious right now? Is God loving?
There's nothing on specious, but I mean, Waru will randomly either heal you or kill you. So, I mean,
but you don't yell at a tiger for eating food.
well, if anything,
he's doing
Waru is a Calvinist because I mean that's what Calvinism teaches. God will either kill you or he'll save you. So
Yeah.
I guess Waru is more of a Calvinist, actually.
I'll hold off on this. Queen was the
Sorry,
death of
man.
Queen Elizabeth. Waru was fifth in line for the crown. Actually, isn't a man being queen now? So I don't know if that'll work out.
Scott, come on, man. We got to excommunicate him.
Oh my goodness. What about having communion with Waru?
Yeah, we can live without it.
But Thrawn, Catholic or Protestant?
Thrawn is definitely. Gosh, that's a hard one. He's not evangelical for sure.
He's probably atheist, if we're being honest.
I think he's Orthodox.
Think so?
Well, he may be atheist. I guess that's. Yeah, that's he's Orthodox. He's Orthodox.
Yeah, you think so? Dude.
I don't want him to be an atheist.
No, Pellion's definitely a Southern Baptist.
For sure.
Yeah.
Talon Card is definitely probably. I guess he'd be a Southern Baptist. Mara Jade would be. She'll be Catholic. We'll take her.
Oh, because it's close to Mary.
Kind of. Ben will be. I don't know what Ben will be. Ben will be.
A priest.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? Maybe.
You haven't read enough of You haven't read enough of him as a teenager. So. Lance, you're here to tell me you don't want to feel Waru's ichor next to you during church.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Not Matt. Scott says that he's Jewish. Maybe.
He may be Jewish.
But I'm definitely taking Pelion though. For that Southern.
Palpatine is a Satanist for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Satanist. Vader is. I don't know what Vader would be.
I think Vader's atheist. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know if he's atheist. Maybe he's
agnostic.
Barriss Offee's definitely a Muslim because he looks like one.
I think that was the point of her. Yeah, I think that was the point of the sign.
Well, I don't know. I guess Dave Filoni, he must be Islamophobic then because he made her to a terrorist. So
he did. Yeah, he did. That's not her true end. We know the truth.
That honestly does piss me off, though. Like the fact that the only freaking Muslim-looking character in Star Wars is a freaking terrorist, and people don't have an issue with that. I mean, really?
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, if Rian Johnson did something like that, oh my gosh.
Is Waru circumcised? His whole body is a slab of meat.
I mean, maybe. Who knows?
Waru's supper consists of him breaking off pieces of his scale that resemble his body.
Well, it could also be just diving into his body.
Oh,
I mean,
like
Luke
Jell-O.
did that.
like Jell-O.
Good old Waru. We love Waru. I can't wait. Hey, Matt, do you know if Supernatural Encounters will have Waru stuff? Like, I'm actually being serious because I want to know. Now, if you can't tell me, then that's fine. But
Oh, also, here's a quote by C. Mere Christianity, which is one of my favorite books, more than Narnia by C. But if you give up, you'll find your real self, lose your life, and you'll stay death of your ambition, favorite wishes every day, and death of your whole body in the end. Submit with every fiber of your being, and you will find eternal life. Keep back nothing. Nothing that you have now will be really yours. Nothing in you that is not erased. Look for yourselves, and you will find along not only hatred, despair, rage, ruin, and decay, but look for Christ, and you will find, and with Him, everything else is thrown in. Loves you.
Alex, I think you would really enjoy reading Thomas Aquinas.
Oh, I'm sure I've seen a bit of his stuff from when I do like apologetics studies and stuff. I've seen
Yeah.
his name pop up a lot.
I feel like
he's the one that
I
did
mean,
the. No, I keep going.
he's kind of like a doctor of the church, we call him, meaning like he's had a profound impact on the theology of the church. But even if you're Protestant, I think you could find a lot of great stuff that Aquinas has talked about.
Mm.
You'll really like Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah.
You'll probably also like, I think, Justin Martyr too. You'll really like him as well. If you've ever heard of him. I'm not sure if you've heard of Justin Martyr.
I think so, of him too. Mm. I haven't read stuff from him, but I know of him.
I'm actually reading something, Saint Ignatius of Antioch, who's going to be my patron saint. Because that's, when you convert, you get to pick your own patron saint. I'm picking Ignatius of Antioch. He studied under John the Apostle, and he wrote a whole bunch of epistles because he was captured by Rome, I believe, and he made I don't remember where he was at, but he was going to Rome because he was martyred eventually for his faith, and along the way he wrote a bunch of letters, kind of like how St. Paul did. Now, of course, his letters are not scripture, but they are really good insights into the beliefs of the church at the time. I think that there's 7 epistles that he wrote that are considered authentic, but there are some that are like they're attributed to him, but we don't really know if they're him or not. So it's really really interesting to read about that. I mean, this guy learned under John, and same with Polycarp. Polycarp learned under John, and then there's Clement of Rome. He became Pope. I think he was the 4th Pope. I think it was the 4th Pope, yeah. And then the 2nd Pope, Linus, they both studied under Peter. So, and they were actually mentioned in the Bible, by the way, in Peter's letters. So, yeah. I think those are really cool people to read about because they learn under the apostles. And anyway, yes, Supernatural Encounters will. Okay, that's cool. I mentioned on stream a while back that I genuinely would be interested in a book about Waru. Like, I'm being serious. I think he'd be a cool character to explore.
Yeah, it would.
Waru, it would have been better than what we got.
Also, we have what has been my Facebook background for like 7 years now or something like that. But it's my favorite quote by C.S. Lewis, which is that I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun is risen, not only because I see it, but because by it, I see everything else. And that has been my bumper sticker forever. So it's been fun.
Catholic trivia. Do you know Bishop Fulton Sheen? I do. I lived in his room for 2 years when I was at Catholic University. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome, Chris. Yeah, I do know about Fulton J. Sheen. He is he was a great preacher. I think you Alex would find a lot of good stuff with him. He was the Archbishop, I believe, of New York. I think of as New York. I'm not sure. Um, he's not a saint yet. I think he's blessed. I don't think he's a saint yet. But he was a very good person, a very good godly man. You'd really like him, Alex. He's basically the Billy Graham of Catholics, essentially. He was a televangelist like Billy Graham was. I love Billy Graham, by the way. I love Billy Graham. So. Oh, he's venerable. I must have been thinking of someone else then. That's cool. He should be. If you don't know what any of this means, Alex, there's different stages to becoming a saint. So, like a canonized saint, there's blessed, and there's like a whole bunch of layers to it. And venerable is like right before you become a saint. So,
I've heard about this stuff before, but I'm not as well versed in Catholicism as I am in like atheism and other stuff that I talk about more often with other people. So, but it's definitely something I need to get more into, even just for studying it, let alone changing my position in life with my beliefs. But it's a very important one to study. I've studied a bit of Islam. I've studied a bit of Hinduism and Buddhism very briefly, just the bare necessities of those. But Catholicism, since this is a branch of Christianity, is the one I've probably I've looked at the least. I mean, I've looked into it.
Jimmy, Alex.
Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Have you studied Orthodoxy?
Have I what are Orthodoxy?
Yeah, have you studied it?
Orthodoxy, the Catholic Orthodoxy.
Well,
or
I mean,
you just mean
it's the
Orthodox
third
in
branch
general?
of Christianity.
No, not really.
It's basically it's almost the same as Catholicism. There's just some key differences, though. Obviously, I think the first one being the papacy, that's what split our churches up. And then there's something else. It's kind of hard to explain, but in the Nicene Creed, which I hope you know what that is. Do you know what that is, Alex? The Nicene Creed?
The creed? Sorry, you're cutting out again.
The Nicene Creed.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay. There's the Catholics and Orthodox disagree on. Our creeds are basically different. It's a very slight difference. In the Catholic Church, we believe that the Holy Spirit proceeds from both the Father and the Son, while the Orthodox Church only believes it's just the Father. And the creeds are a little different in both. The Catholic Nicene Creed says the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son. And the Orthodox Nicene Creed says just the Father. And I think that's called the Filioque. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a weird Latin word, but anyway, that's basically the difference between the two. Very subtle.
Alex, do you know the Apollo Creed? If you mean the guy from Rocky, yes. I think that's what you're saying as a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, who doesn't love Rocky?
Hey, Matt. I know you don't like a lot of. I know you don't like a lot of new stuff, Matt, even outside of Star Wars. But what are your thoughts on the Creed movies? The sequels they made to the original Rocky.
Yeah. I didn't watch the sequels, so I don't know. I've only seen the Rocky movies, so I have no opinion.
I wonder what Matt thinks. Matt, because I know he doesn't like a lot of new stuff, which is fair. A lot of new stuff is garbage. So, Not bad. Rocky. Well, yeah, yeah. I think we can all agree the Rocky movies are better, but
Noah would never convert to either. I mean, I do pray for him. A little shocker there. I do pray for Noah all the time, but we'll see.
problem is Creed's. That's true, I guess. That's kind of true. Is Noah like an atheist or not religious?
Noah, yeah, he's atheist agnostic. I haven't asked him too much. He's not super hostile to it necessarily. He just doesn't want to discuss it at all, which is fair.
Well, he is a Troy Denning hater, so. Just kidding.
I mean, yeah.
I don't hate Denning, for the record.
Well, we know for sure that Matt likes the first Creed movie. He has one of his favorite Rocky scenes, he says. Oh, so Matt says the problem is Creed's best scenes all have Rocky in them. So he's saying like, so he's saying that so my favorite scenes from Creed have Rocky in it, which is a problem. If it's about Creed, then I should be hyped with Creed. So which is fair.
Matt, like Lando is a saint for sure. So he's way past venerable. Don't worry.
I don't know about that one, considering the player that he is.
Hey, I mean, you can be a player and still be a Christian as long as you follow the rules.
I thought we were just talking about. Well, no, I'm talking about playing with women though, and having multiple. Body counts. I guess I'll say. Yeah. Well, we were just talking about works. If he's saying I believe in Jesus as my Lord, let me just stick that pee-pee in here real quick, I don't think
Lando would definitely be Pentecostal, no doubt about it. And it's not because he's black before you people start saying that. It's because he would be a Pentecostal. So, oh yeah, for sure, Matt, for sure. I mean, freaking Paul murdered Christians before he became one, so maybe that's what Lando did. He played in his early life, and then he became Christian.
Lando was saved once he met his wife.
Oh, that's probably true. After his time with
Mara.
Oh, that's funny. You know what, Matt? You don't get a lot of people who agree with you on this. Now, let me be clear. I love Luke and Mara, and I love him more than anyone else. But anyone else, meaning like any couple in the EU. But Lando and Mara wouldn't have been bad either. I'll give you that, Matt.
I might say something blasphemous. I mean, I think Mara's really cool, but she's never been one of my favorite characters. So, I mean...
Yeah, we have practically the freaking EU king here. Let's go ahead and excommunicate him. What's his name? Alex. Over here. Just kidding. Alex, you can like
Callista is Matt's favorite for some reason. And I don't really see why. But at the same time, she is an interesting case. If you get past the stealing somebody else's body, I mean, I guess it's consensual, so it's not stealing. But if you get past that, she's a pretty alright character. So, I mean, Mara is kind of... Here's what I noticed about Mara. If Mara is not with Luke, because I went through Allegiance and Choices of One, all right? And this is what I said in my reviews, all right, when I was going through it. Because the thing with Mara is, in Allegiance and Choices of One, she's the hand of the Emperor. She's doing all these, like secret agent, like stealthy missions for the Emperor. And you're like, oh, sweet, awesome. But it's exactly what I expected. Like, everything they tell you in the Thrawn trilogy, like, she did all these missions and stuff for Palpatine. That's it. In Allegiance and Choices of One. It's exactly what you would expect. So it's kind of boring because it's exactly what you expect. Like, I mean, I get it. She's doing what they told us she would be doing, but I expected something more for her character. But without Luke, without the whole character arc of her wanting to kill Luke and then later falling in love, I find her rather bland. And her character for me doesn't work unless she's a part of other characters. And so for me, I realized rereading those books that Mara by herself is just kind of boring. And she's only interesting because of her dynamic with everybody else. At least in my opinion.
I think Chris would agree with you, Alex. So, I don't know. I like Mara even without Luke, but I can see what y'all
Have you read Allegiant Choices in one?
Oh, I haven't, but I see your general point though.
Christopher Nelson's like, I still think Luke and Leia should give it another try.
I could say something really mean, but I'm not going to. It's kind of ageist.
Hey, Lance, if you ever read the classic Marvel series, it gets worse.
I know
right?
they
Because then you I read all of it. Leia does it at least 5 times to Luke, where they just straight up like kiss, or if not even make out. And she also does that to Han around the same amount of times. So in the classic, I mean, she is a pretty cool character in the old Marvel comics. She's not just like this whore, but sometimes it kind of comes across that way because she'll literally go from one issue kissing Luke, and then in the next issue or like a couple issues down, she'll make out with Han, and I'm like, girl, I know you don't know that Luke's your brother, so I'm not even gonna address that. But freaking, you are leading these men on. Make a choice already. My God. It's freaking crazy the amount of times she does it.
I mean, it was the 70s, so
I guess so. Would any of you like to address the Winter Akbar relationship when Winter cheated on Psycho? No. Well, first off,
Matt, they weren't together.
I only ever started seeing it because everybody makes the meme about it. At most, I got like a father-daughter sort of relationship for them in the books, like because her parents are dead too, right? Because they died on Alderaan as well. So I thought she was just having a sort of parental figure with Akbar, and that's why she was always hanging out with him, not because they were romantically involved.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've read New Jedi Order. I mean, I got more of a brother-sister vibe from them, not really anything romantic. So, and I'm just now starting to see people say this, that they were together. I'm like, where were they together?
It's just from all the times that like they hung out alone is all. C-3PO and Jason, Jaina's first nanny droid, always felt like they had a thing going. What the fudge? Oh my goodness.
Well,
Matt be thinking about the real important things.
R2-D2 gives Luke a massage and Heart of the Jedi. I wonder if they went. Maybe.
Okay, well here's an interesting question from Matt.
Guys, y'all forgetting I'm underage and y'all saying this stuff.
All right, Matt,
just y'all know.
Would I-5 have a romantic relationship with C-3PO if you met him, or would you just be pissed off at C-3PO, everyone else? Give me your answer since you love I-5 so much. And if you want to get some tentacles in there, you could also include Vufi Ra. In the Jedi Academy trilogy, they made Akbar sound so old, though. So I don't know how much play he got. I don't think he did. I don't think he was ever married either. I think he was just dedicated to his job. Because he's already pretty old by the time of Return of the Jedi, at least for his fish years or whatever. When a droid loves another droid, something magic happens. Something magical happens.
Apparently. What about an Ewok and another Ewok? Matt, you should know that, right?
Luke basically hooked up with the Death Star, a thermal port to meter wide just under the main shaft.
You know what's funny about that? There's a video going around where they took snippets of A New Hope, the the in battle there, and just put a whole bunch of "That's what she said" voice clips. It was the funniest thing ever. In fact, I may look it up right now. Show it to y'all. Oh my gosh. I mean, Jack Porkins was on fire with "That's what she said" stuff. A New Hope battle scene. That's whoops.
How about that scene from the Family Guy parody of Star Wars where R2D2 inserts his thing into the port on the ship or the Death Star, and the ship's going crazy over it. It's a girl voice. He's like, "Oh, just a spot." He's like, "Yeah, I know, ladies like it," or something. I'm like, "What the fudge am I watching?" But that's Family Guy for you.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about freaking dirty stuff, let's talk about Troy Denning. Or Prince Shizor. How about that?
Yeah, you know what? Steve Perry is always going to be way worse to me than freaking Troy Denning. No, here's the difference. Here's the difference. Okay, when Troy Denning does it, it's this like little subtle thing. You know, Jaina was in her underwear and bra. Nobody has sex with an underwear and bra on, but it's PG-13 because it's still Disney or sorry Disney. It's still Star Wars, so they can't go too far. But Steve Perry, he's like, frick going too far with it. I'll literally have Leia, against her will, almost be seduced by this man and be assaulted. And like the worst part is that with Caesar, you're actively hearing his thoughts throughout the book. So you're constantly hearing him talk about how he wants to abuse this woman. And it's the most uncomfortable cringe in like the literal sense cringe I've ever read. The only other thing that rivals that, and I haven't even read all the Dune books yet, is in the first Dune book, we have to constantly hear Baron Harkonnen talk about how he finds his little nephew really attractive. He wants to have sex with him all the time. It's the most uncomfortable thing you have to experience reading that book, and it's just the worst. But Troy Denning never comes close to that level of. So.
Yeah, I read Shadows of the Empire for the first time this summer, and oh my gosh, I mean, it is. I think. I mean, Matt, you're gonna have a hell of a time once you get to that book.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, without spoilers, there is probably the worst that Troy Denning has ever done in Legacy of the Force. It involves a character, I won't say who turns to the dark side. It's not Jason, it's somebody else.
I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if you already know, but
I do.
You do? Okay, so I'm just gonna say it. So, Tahiri
and Ben.
So here's the thing, though. That's probably the worst, but we don't go into her mind or anything, and it's never seemed to imply that she was going to carry out any promise. It's clearly that she's a dark side person at this point in the series, and this is like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 books in, so there's a lot of character development before that. But, you know, she's trying to do this because she knows Ben, and she knows that, knows Ben well enough to know that interrogating him is only going to piss him off. It's not going to make him tell her anything. And so she tries a different approach because she's a woman. She's like, well, maybe if I seduce him, you know, because he's like a teenager right now, his hormones are super high, maybe then I can get the information I want. We don't get inside her head. This is just me like speculating as to why she'd do that. Because nowhere in the book imply that she's going to actively go through anything after the fact. It's just that she needs the information. And so she's trying her best to figure out a way to get that information. Now, if in the book she went through with it, then yeah, I'd be like, okay, I'm never reading a Star Wars book again. Thanks, Troy Denning. But I don't think that was the purpose. The purpose was to show how far she'd fallen and what she was willing to even suggest to Ben. But it wasn't a matter of, oh, I'm going to actually have sex with a however old 16-year-old kid at this point. So, but yeah, that's probably his worst moment, is the whole scene in that book. So
I wonder why
Troy
was smoking when he wrote that.
I don't know. But I mean, the only thing we have is in darkness.
When Stephen King wrote it, I mean, he admitted he was doing crack. So I wonder what Troy Denning was doing when he was
but here's the difference. Here's the difference. Nothing actually happens in that book. You know what happens in it? They actually just straight up do it, and you have to read it. It's a bunch of kids having sex, and you have to read about that for a chapter. And that's far worse than anything that Troy Denning has ever done. Marcel. He already showed how scummy Caesar was for several chapters. He didn't need to add that. That was just because here's another thing. I haven't read his Predator books, but I've had other people talk about the Predator books, and he says that Steve Perry also includes a lot of sexual stuff with the Predators. They're fighting stuff. So this is just a normal thing for Steve Perry. Yeah, Scott says that Steve Perry actually toned it down from how it was originally supposed to be, apparently. So probably because Star Wars Lucasfilm was like, no.
Well, to change the topic,
Yeah.
because this is getting weird.
A little bit.
I mean, if you're watching this, you are officially on the weird side of YouTube.
Yeah, basically.
Because we're talking about freaking teenagers in Star Wars having freaking non-consensual sex. So
No, they didn't. There was no sex in that scene.
or
But I want to
whatever.
stress, there's nothing
Sexual
actually happened.
moment. How about that?
There was suggestion. It was the worst of it. Was suggesting something that shouldn't have been suggested to a minor. That's it.
Whatever it is, you're on the weird side of YouTube. So let's make it not weird.
Yeah.
Let's make it. I don't know. Let's talk about Dave Filoni, whatever that'll make it. So
That's just gonna get back to the same topic with Ahsoka.
well, I mean, I'll give Filoni this. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't say he's a pervert. He's not a pervert, is he?
I mean, he did dress Ahsoka as like a skank.
Well, that was more of a Lucas thing. That's more of a Lucas. That was more of a Lucas's decision. I mean, I'll give Filoni that.
It was really great. George Lucas, how Ahsoka should look.
Well, and she brought this up in the group chat. There's that Tales of the Jedi show coming up, Alex. I know you probably haven't seen the trailer yet.
I'm not going to watch it, the trailer even, but yes, I've seen it around on YouTube.
I'm kind of saying this because it's more evidence why I don't like Filoni. There's an Inquisitor in it. His name is the Sixth Brother, I think. Supposed to be the same Inquisitor. He first showed up in the Vader comics, and in the Ahsoka novel, Ahsoka kills him and takes his lightsaber crystals and purifies them, makes them white. That's where she gets her white lightsabers. How I know that? Wikipedia. I haven't read the book, by the way, so I'm never going to read it either. But the Tales of the Jedi show brought the same character in it, but completely changed his look. So the show hasn't even come out yet, and Filoni's already contradicting stuff.
That sounds like him.
Yep. Good job, Filoni. But the reason why I bring it up is because, I've been told this, and I know Matt has been told this, and everybody else has been told this, but, we're told for years, Filoni contradicted stuff in the Clone Wars. He contradicted the EU in the Clone Wars because the EU was separate from the Clone Wars and all that other stuff. It's like he's contradicting stuff in the new canon. So it has nothing to do with continuity, or at least in terms of canon, I should say. But it has everything to do with Filoni just doesn't give a crap. So,
only his stuff matters.
I'm just kind of saying that to make. I know Matt is pretty. I mean, he knows. But I mean, if y'all are kind of like, well, they kind of have a point. They don't have a point when they say that. When EU haters say that, they don't have a point. They're just lying, is what they're doing, or they're just ignorant, or they're hypocrites. So that's kind of why
everyone. Everyone who makes those kind of arguments usually hasn't read it. They've done what you always do or what a lot of people do when they start out with the expanded universe. They're like so interested in everything. They start looking up everything on Wikipedia, but they haven't actually read everything. They just looked up a bunch of information on Wikipedia, which, as you can attest, you've done this plenty. I know I've done this. You look at things on Wikipedia, you're like, oh, that's super interesting. but it's a lot different when you actually read it. Like reading about Chewbacca dying in New Jedi Order on Wikipedia is not the same as experiencing that scene. And you can tell when somebody makes those kind of arguments against the expanded universe that at most they looked at the Wikipedia article, because if they actually read it, they wouldn't be saying the things that they said.
Yep. But yeah, so I bring that up because, well, it's Filoni. We all hate him. At least we all have that in common. So,
well, it seems we clearly got off the religion topic, but always remember that with Filoni, that seeing Ahsoka was a religious experience. So it all goes full circle.
I can't believe Filoni actually said that. I mean, it's freaking weird. I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat. If anyone else wants to come on, since we've kind of moved past religion.
It was fun though. There's always time for more. It's an infinite topic.
I won, Scott. Just kidding. It wasn't. I'm just kidding. It wasn't a debate. It was a discussion. We were just talking.
But clearly the great Lance, who is so smart and wise and chose Catholicism as a true and righteous path, he's clearly the victor here, because he's right and I'm wrong because I'm a fool. So
there you go.
I'm definitely not saying that just because I'm on his stream. But you know, not buttering the host or anything.
Ego too much. I mean, y'all call me based at every second. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel based. I just say my thoughts.
Don't worry. It's the same thing I do to my friend Justin. We keep saying that he's the main character, and he gets really pissed off because he's like, guys, my ego is so big. Stop. And we're like, we're all just side characters, main story. And he's like, shut up. Shut up. So it's really funny. Maybe that's it with you, Lance. Maybe we're all just side characters to your story.
I did call myself the main character earlier today, so I am the main character. No, actually, Matt Wilkins is the main character. We're just his followers.
The religion of the Wilkins. The true path.
Wilkins.
Wilkinism. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Our Inquisitor did not debunk my article, man. He lost the argument, and I'm here to whine about it.
Man, Force Wave is the funniest person in the world. What's up, Iron? I meant Force Wave. How are you?
I'm crying. My article is the definitive argument against EU fans.
You know, I should contact Force Wave on Twitter. I have him blocked, but I can unblock him if I need to. I should invite him to stream, see what he'll say.
That would be interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I'll have him on. I don't care. I mean, he's not gonna win. He can't win. I mean, you done debunked his article. So.
Yep.
And I just love it because EU haters will. I mean, seriously, I get it all. When I ask people, "Hey, prove that EU is not canon," they'll send me that article because you know what they do? They look up quotes that say the EU is not canon, and they.
It was because like Force Wave, his article is the first thing that shows up on Google.
Yeah, and then they just send that to me. It's like, first of all, it's a guest editorial for some blog. That how is that proof? And second of all, I mean, it really just proves you don't really know what you're talking about. You have to get somebody else's words. So, but we can just spam your video now. So.
Yeah, and that thing has over 2,000 views now. It's crazy.
Yep. I still haven't watched the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say in it. So.
Oh, yeah. And at the end of it, I include the clip from TCW where Quinlan Lebowski goes, well, that's just your opinion, man.
Yeah. I hope Force Wave is watching. Force Wave, if you're watching, come on in stream. Let's talk. I mean, it's 3 against 1, but
Ethan's
whatever.
correct. Matt Wilkins is the main character. We are all side characters.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Um. That's interesting. Interesting.
Really?
So what you're saying, Titus, is that Wikipedia actually sucks, and they don't actually do their research properly, and then they refuse to add anything new to Legends after Disney bought the rights because they never really cared about it. I'm just salty because they're annoying sometimes with their decisions.
I love Wikipedia though because they say that they use canon on their pages, or was canon. I mean, they do. They
That's fair.
say it all the time.
Mhm.
So I love to just spam Wikipedia articles. They do the
fair.
same to us. So why not? Why can't we do it? Oh, Iron said Ahsoka should have died at Malachor. 100% agree.
Just imagine how impactful it would have been. It would have shown that, oh, Luke, he's the only one that can redeem, Vader and turn him back to Anakin.
Yep.
I've seen
all
that
the
scene. It's the
The fanboys wouldn't have any more fat materials, so
Oof.
Oh gosh.
I'm serious. Honestly, I'm serious. I mean, the amount of people I hear say Ahsoka's hot. It's like, dude,
No, she isn't. First
she's
off,
an
I mean,
freaking alien.
to be fair, people say that Twi'leks are attractive, but they're just like humans in makeup. But yeah, and people do
Well-
that a lot with a lot of alien species. So
But we all
But,
know Mira Lucas is where it's at.
but if you like the multiple different cat people in Star Wars, I'm sorry, there's no twisting it. You're just a furry. Oh my goodness, Matt. Oh my goodness, Matt. My goodness,
Naked
this joke will
G,
never.
to be more accurate, Matt. It's naked.
famous. It's famous. Would you? Hey, you're Catholic, right? What about all those famous Catholic paintings with all the naked men looking to God? Right. You know that one with the freaking God in the sky pointing at the other dude, right? But does that? You're
Well-
not like, oh, you're not down with that. It's just a painting. In the same
They were
sense.
drawn nakedly because of the freaking Renaissance. We love the Renaissance loves the human body, so that's
Yeah.
why. Not for
And
anything
Star
sexist,
Wars
but-
loved naked Palpatine in Dark Empire.
Matt or Alex, I think you just love naked Palpatine.
No, it's just a famous picture. When you think of Dark Empire, it's one of the most famous pictures in all of the expanded universe. It's
You know,
him out
when
of
I
the
think
vat.
of Dark Empire, I think of Palpatine simply being cloned and coming back. I don't think of naked Palpatine.
Yeah, that's him as a clone coming out of the freaking vat. It's one of the most famous pieces of art by, isn't it Dave Dorman or whoever the fudge it is? It's famous. It's nothing to do with sexual.
Maybe just to you, Alex.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't it funny? Like Forcewave, he was trashing on Dark Empire, but now he's going everywhere on Twitter, doing everything he can to defend Rise of Skywalker and Palpatine coming back.
He's a Disney shill. What else do you expect?
Because it's funny is on the video because he did that one video about Dark Empire. Like he was like, it was like, oh, that other time Luke was ruined.
Oh my goodness.
That was where I met him and encountered
Also,
him.
hey, to point this off of me for a second, Marcel, are you confirming that you are a furry? Look, I'm not judging, but
Marcel's not
Look,
a
man.
furry. He's Dave Filoni's
He just said-
sister.
he just said
I mean,
Sylvar
whatever.
is attractive.
What's going on?
What's up, Scott?
Hello.
How you doing?
We have
Hi.
3 Matts here in Force Wave.
Inquisitor, you have to fix this. You also
Yeah,
gotta
you
be
gotta put a Matt pick.
Oh, I should do that. I should. Ooh, I have the perfect one.
I had to go and find one. That's why it took so long.
Just Alex. Just go to Iron. Just go to Noah's Discord. You'll find plenty. Trust me.
That's so true.
Let's see.
We got a ton of pictures of Matt on there. Look, man, I'm not a furry. I'm just a simple man making his way through the universe. It's funny. Look, man. I'm just saying, like, do you feel the same when you watch YouTube? Because if you do, that's a sign. I don't care. You do you, Marcel. I've tried to
Hi,
stay
my
out of
name
that
is
corner of the
Lance.
internet.
Hi, my name is Lance, and I'm a Matt Wilkins fan.
Everybody
gotta
should
say everything now.
change their name. Everybody should
Yeah.
change their name to Matt Wilkins fan or cult of.
Man, I hope y'all would get that joke. Y'all know like AA meetings.
No, I don't.
Well, okay. It's kind of embarrassing that I know what that is anyway, because it's where alcoholics come together and talk about their addiction.
I mean, I know that, but besides
Well,
that,
they introduce themselves by saying, "Hi, I'm an alcoholic."
Oh.
So anyway, that was a bad joke. I mean, we're addicted to Matt Wilkins, is what I was getting at. So
Yeah, my
Matt-
avatar is now Matt Wilkins. At least part of it. The meme I made, that's his reaction to the EU continuing.
Hey Matt, you should join, and we'll have a lot more Matt Wilkins.
Yeah.
You got any me Wilkins, Matt Wilkins fan?
this isn't the most flattering picture of Matt. I got to find a better one, actually.
I thought I was a mini Matt Wilkins. That's what you called me, Alex.
What? Look, losers lose, I guess.
Oh no.
I am Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. Oh my gosh. He did be kind of thick in that issue. Not gonna lie.
I mean, the Clone Emperor in Dark Empire, I think he's like 16, so that's like really
Oh.
creepy.
Is he supposed to be 16? Doesn't look 16.
I think so. I think that's what it says in the caption. It's like he
Well, they did a terrible job. He looks
he
like
took-
he's 20 or he looks like he's 20 or 30 in there.
no, he says he took the body of a clone, like a 16-year-old clone or something.
Okay, well, I don't actually find him attractive. This is all Matt's lies about me and Lance's.
I don't know
I
how that
actually-
came up, but
Alex, you admitted
Oh,
it.
no, listen. Here's what happened. We were doing a live stream. It was me, Matt, and Noah. Okay, we were on a live stream. We were talking about cover art of things, art in general in Star Wars, and I mentioned or we were talking about Sith Lords and stuff, and I was saying how I can't say Palpatine because he's from the movies, and we are talking about EU specifically. I said you can say Palpatine if you want to, like from Dark Empire, and then as a joke, I said, "Oh yeah, like that art of him naked coming out of the vat," and they're like, "Alex, are you into that?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I was just mentioning." And so from then on, ever since then, it's been a thing that everybody says now. Everybody knows it.
that's really creepy. So Marcel, in the narrative on the narrative box, in Dark Empire, it says he's 16. So
Oh my goodness.
this makes it all the worse.
Hey, well, you know what, Scott? When that comic came out, I didn't exist yet. Therefore, if we're going by a publication date, the entire comic is older than me. Therefore, it's okay.
Yeah, when it came out, I was an infant. So
Yeah. So there you go.
When it came
Dark
out, my mom
Empire-
hadn't even met my dad yet. So shows you how young I am.
My parents weren't even
Oh my
married yet.
goodness.
I think they had been dating at that point.
Shoot, when I was born,
I didn't say that. That's a lie.
I
Freaking
can't change the picture.
famous picture. Oh my goodness.
Hey, at least you and Denning have something in common, Alex.
Oh my goodness.
At least you're not alone.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Alex, that joke will never die.
No, well, it's gonna live on forever. Though this is blatant. This is blatant slander because it's not in print, which would make it liable. But Matt said, "Have you guys seen that cover? He must work out," and quotes as if I said that, which I've never said. So Matt is now a slanderer.
My word.
Just trying to make me look so bad. But look, I'm not the one that said I found a cat person in Star Wars attractive. That was Marcel. So I think I'm safe here.
Cat person? Who's that?
Oh, there's from the Redemption comic. There's the cat person who wants revenge. And
Sylvar?
Marcel-
Cathar,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and he said that she's slightly attractive, and I said, I mean, you do you, but
To each their own.
yeah. Although
I mean,
I probably
Johnny's pretty attractive, but
I
she's not
can't-
into
I
men.
can't-
So.
yeah, I can't insult Marcel though, because he's apparently becoming my lawyer right now. He's gonna protect me from these legal things.
I don't think he's gonna protect you, Alex.
Oh.
From naked Palpatine accusations.
Oh my goodness. I need a lawyer.
Jackson.
Better call Saul. Better call Marcel.
Cat birds.
They did have a Cathar and a Kotor, which I didn't play. And it's not really even something that's shoved down your throat either. It's something you have to actively pursue if you want to see it, which is that Juhani can both be, or no, she can't. I think she's only gonna be a romantic interest for you if you're a girl. She won't be that at all if you're a dude, which is why I completely missed that fact about her because I just played as a dude canonically than the dude.
Yeah, that
But
flew over
if you
my head
put-
until I read about it online years ago.
But that wasn't the essence of her character because the EU was better than that. It was, she's a great character and that just happens to be an aspect about her. But
Matt's probably like, "Who's Johanny?"
yeah, he doesn't know because he didn't play the games. And I don't think she's mentioned in the Revan novel. So he'd have no idea who we're talking about.
Yeah, like Matt thought that what's her face? Oh, Visas Mar was a Jedi in that one short story about Nihilus draining the planet.
Yeah.
It's like she's not a Jedi yet.
No. That was pretty scary little. That was probably one of the better Tales comics. There's the whole planet desolated.
I actually never knew they showed a comic depiction of that happening because I played KOTOR 2 and we only
It's
ever
written by Chris
saw-
Avalon.
Oh,
I
what?
think it's only pictures. I think it's. I mean, I don't think there's slight dialogue, but it's mostly just visual. But I'm pretty sure it said that it was written by Chris Avalon, who wrote KOTOR 2.
Well, that would be cool if he
He also-
actually.
Oh, sorry.
Wow. If he was actually involved in that comic in some way.
I think so. I think he wrote it. But I have to go back and check. But he also wrote for the original Fallout games, Fallout 1 and 2, which were really good. Though they're top-down, asymmetric RPGs. So if you don't like those type of older style-looking games, then you wouldn't enjoy it. But that's
Oh, I probably would enjoy it because I like those older games.
yeah, like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale. So it looks like that.
It has like the pre-rendered cutscenes when you're like talking with the characters.
Yeah, well, some characters. There's a very low budget, so only a couple characters actually have actual voices and cutscenes. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Blue Pig. Most of the time, I mean, I won't get too into it, but usually the more crazy woke it is, which I mean, I don't think a lot of shows are. I know there are people online who say a lot of shows are, but when they are, they usually do bomb, because then you got people that are usually for it being like, man, this is a lot, and then you got the people that already hate it not bothering to watch that at all, and then it just dies because nobody's happy. So I think there is a little bit of truth to that, but to go woke, go broke, but that also is applied to a lot of shows where it isn't actually. So
Seems like most of the shows are woke nowadays, but I don't watch a lot of TV.
yeah, I don't watch a lot of new things. I've gone back. I've watched like a couple. What was it, like a year or two ago? I watched like all the Star Trek shows, which I never did before in the movies. That was a great time. I'll stick to that, or the older Star Trek shows, I should say, before the 2009 reboot movie. And I had a blast. Those were all so good. And I think that's just one.
Yeah, I saw the first episode of Picard, and I was like, nope, not watching this.
I saw the trailer, and that pissed me off, and I was done. It was a very minor thing. It probably shouldn't have upset me that much. But like, I had just finished going through all the shows and stuff in the movies, and I remember specifically in a Voyage Home. What is it called? The fourth movie. They're stuck in the past, and Kirk specifically.
Oh, is that the one with the whales?
Yes. And Kirk specifically says, like, because he starts hearing like all these like punk 80s kids like cussing and stuff. He's like, man, we're so I'm glad we've evolved from that now, or whatever. And oh my goodness, we got I think that's Marcel. But anyway, so but we start. So then I watched the Picard trailer, and I started hearing all these cuss words. I'm like, they have insult words. They have insult words in Star Trek, but it's none of the words that we have today because they advanced. So I was really annoyed with all the cussing and stuff going on in Picard, which is a very minor thing, but that already was like that breaking canon because nobody in any of the shows or movies I've watched have talked like this ever. So it's really bizarre to just thinking.
Yeah, what's
Oh, what's up?
There's a beeping.
What's that beeping?
Oh, my grandma set the alarm.
Oh.
Because at night they set alarm. If someone tries to break in or breaks into any of the barns or the garage.
Well, it sounds like your alarm's going off. You better go see what's going on.
Oh, no, it stopped now.
I'm just kidding. Matt has some interesting questions though. What's an example of a show that's not woke, but people say it is? I've seen people say Stranger Things is woke. I wouldn't say that's woke. Walking Dead, that's another one. I don't think that's woke.
Yeah,
at all.
no. I mean, Walking Dead has stuff in there, but it's not being shoved in your face. Like, there's gay people and stuff and other things, but it's not like that's all the show's about or anything, or that's all those characters are. So I wouldn't agree with that. And then Stranger Things, I haven't watched the last two seasons, so I'm kind of ignorant. But from what I watched of the first two seasons, it didn't really seem like there's really anything being shoved in my
I've
face
seen
or
the first
anything.
two seasons too, and there was nothing really woke.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched She-Hulk, so I can't speak on that. I mean, I'm on the internet, so it's kind of hard not to. I've seen certain clips, and every clip I've seen has seemed very woke to me. Especially the one scene where she's telling Hulk that, I can control my anger better than you because I get catcalled. And because men mansplain to me and think they know better than me when they don't. Like, I don't know. It'd be one thing if she's like, I can control my anger too because I've dealt with a lot of... If she was like, I was bullied a lot growing up, and then I have bullies with adults, with the men, being like, I could be more like that, but it's only because of men that her life's been hard or whatever, and she's able to control her anger better than somebody whose dad abused his mother growing up. At least that's the lore. I don't know if that's the case for the MCU, but I don't know why you would assume it isn't, just because we haven't seen it. We've only had one Hulk movie in the MCU, and they're not allowed to make anymore. But I don't know. It's just, to say that to Bruce Banner is just, too much for me without even watching the show, and that's the part where I'd be like, that's kind of preachy. And so, I mean,
To
I watched the full
answer-
3-minute clip.
To answer Matt's question, though, what's an example of a show that's not woke, but people say it is? I've heard. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've heard it's not. It's a movie. It's called Prey. It's like a Predator sequel or prequel.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's just because it's a woman.
Right. I've heard
That's why
people
they
say,
upset.
that's woke, but apparently it's not. So
I mean, as far as I know for that, the historical setting that it takes place in, she shouldn't be doing the things she's doing, because the hunter and gathering tribes were also sexist. So she shouldn't be able to do the things that she's doing because her people wouldn't allow her to in reality. But it's a movie, so it's whatever.
But, I mean, history shows us that there's
Got that, bro.
outliers in every society. There's always outliers, right? So
Sure.
I don't know.
That's what I'm
I'm-
saying. I agree with you. It's not woke, but I can see why somebody would go, well, it's not historically accurate. But there's also an alien in it, so I'm not really looking for
It's
historical
like, I
accuracy.
mean, yeah, exactly. Why did it have to follow history? You know?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're claiming to be an historical piece, then I would argue yes, but that's not what this movie's claiming to be. But like, if it's like the 1700s, you know, Revolutionary wartime, and you see black people left and right being like, I don't know, just like everyday people, I'd be like, well, that's not really. If you're trying to be a historical show, be accurate then. But I'm not saying there's a show like that. I'm just saying that would be a hypothetical thing where it's like, well, you're not doing what you say you're doing, which is representing history. But
And I'm gonna answer
The
Matt
Flash.
this question here. I think this is interesting. There's a show on Netflix. I haven't watched the whole show. I'm not gonna watch ever gonna watch the whole show. But it's, I mean, literally, you can tell in the title. It's called Dear White People.
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
But that was it was hilarious, really. But I mean, it wasn't even woke. It was just a liberal agenda throughout the whole thing. So
I mean,
I
literally
still thought
just
it was
replace it.
hilarious.
Literally just replace it with any other race, and then it immediately becomes the worst title you could ever make for a show. Dear
Yeah.
Black people,
Oof.
dear Mexicans, dear Asians, like what? But it's okay because it's white.
There's another show on Netflix that's pretty woke, and it's actually pretty good. I because you go in knowing like the premise is that it's going to be woke. It's called Sex Education.
Oh, I've seen
Um,
that. I haven't
yeah.
seen it, but I've seen it on the
Yeah,
on the Netflix.
it's very. There's a lot of representation. I don't know. I don't even know what wokeness means. Can someone define it for me?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that
let me
word
get-
gets used way too much all
Yeah.
the
Here, let me look
time,
up the
but-
exact definition, so none of us are confused here.
Right.
Okay. Woke definition.
Meant to be edgy, counterculture-y, go against the grain, rub people the wrong way. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is more of a. There's no actual dictionary word for it, so I guess I have to look up Urban Dictionary because
That's a landmine.
it's not. It's not a thing. It's not a thing in the dictionary. So
I should just do a stream where I go through Urban Dictionary and see what I can find.
oh gosh. Oh. um.
Use the
Well,
example.
this is clearly some dude or whoever posted this. Being woke means to be paying the F attention to what's going on, because if you don't, you'll get effed over and left behind. Also, get your effing hand out of the effing sand, you effing lame idiot. Life isn't all about getting high, get laid. Wake the F up.
Oh, I
You
wrote that
better
earlier
get
today.
woke. You better get woke, because before you know it, we'll all be speaking some bastardized form of Russian. What? What? Oh my goodness. That's not what I was looking for, but it's funny. Describes a state of being which you generally question common paradigms. The word denotes that a person has desire to research his position on most issues before espousing ideas that are accepted. Intrinsic to the state of being woke is that you fight against systems of indoctrination such as religion, educational system, racism, and stuff like that. I guess that's the most normal one on Urban Dictionary I've seen so far.
Sorry,
There's a whole
zoned out.
paragraph
Can you repeat
that I'm not
just-
going to read, but that's basically, I guess, it. which in of
I did-
itself sounds fine, but it's when it gets preachy is when I think people get upset with the term woke.
Yeah, I think it's seeing injustices when they don't exist, mostly.
Yeah.
Which is debatable, but like in shows, it like really. So for example, in Supergirl, or take any CW superhero show, especially in the later seasons of The Flash, Arrow was kind of saved from this issue, except for one time when they had this whole episode about guns. But other than that, Arrow was relatively safe from this problem. Every other CW superhero show has this problem. But I've said this before in other streams, but in Supergirl, it's on a different Earth from our own. It's not our Earth. And the president of that Earth, of America, is a woman, for one, and she's secretly an alien from another planet. So she's an illegal immigrant, but she's also a woman. They make jokes about the wall and Trump in that show, which if Trump was the president, then fine. It would make sense in the context of that universe. But Trump never became president in Supergirl's timeline. So why are they making jokes about the wall and Trump? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work within the universe. They're only making these jokes for the benefit of the viewer, which is not only lore breaking, but also forced and preachy. So that would be one example. And Flash has also done this several times with different examples throughout the later seasons of the show.
Alex, what are your thoughts on what Matt has to say about Naked Sheep?
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, like Marcel said. He's my lawyer.
Hey, Alex, when's your birthday?
It's
What
in
month?
January.
Okay, we'll get you like a naked sheep coming out of like a birthday cake or something like that.
Oh no.
Yeah, we'll give you and we'll have Filoni on the side.
Should we add in Ahsoka too?
Yeah, we'll give you an Ahsoka blow up dog.
Well, here, sorry, I have to. So, Blue Pig, when you say I think people are more against religion being an oppressive thing or a terrorism thing, we have the right to freedom or religion, but when presidents say things like America bows to God alone, that can be kind of scary. Well, here's the issue that I've always had, because it's a very hypocritical issue. It's, hey, don't get religion into politics because we don't want your religion influencing us, but then other people's, maybe not religion, but their philosophies, their ideologies should be allowed to be issued out within the political landscape, which is essentially the same thing. It just doesn't have a label of religion. But it's okay for people that aren't religious to enforce their beliefs onto me, but we're not allowed to do the same. I'm not saying that religious people should enforce their beliefs. I'm just saying you just don't want religious people to, not you necessarily, Blue Pig, but people who say this. They don't want religious people to influence their government, but they want to be able to do it free of charge. And I just think that's very hypocritical. Sorry.
I think we should just become anarchy and let people figure it out.
That the purge.
Perfect to me.
Kill each other for one day, free of charge.
I don't know. The purge
No,
doesn't sound like a bad idea after all.
I know who Noah would kill first.
I mean, it'll kill the
Troy
weak ones.
Denning.
All. It'll make our society stronger in the end.
That is a very Darwinian way of looking at it.
I know. It's kind of like Boba Fett and the Bounty Hunter Wars. Oh wait, you don't like that trilogy? Never mind. I mean, it's kind of the same concept, though. I mean, Prince Shizor's like, well, if they go to civil war, only the strongest will.
I get his whole plan. The plan's not the issue with me. It's the pacing of the book and the fact that
Alex
it goes nowhere.
We do not care.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It's okay. I got my review. It'll come sometime in the future. I'm very.
You need to unlist that video of you throwing slave ship.
What?
You need to unlist that video of you chunking.
It is
slave
unlisted.
ship.
It is unlisted. I posted it to the Discord so that way people on the Discords could see it, but it's unlisted, so no one else can watch it except for people that have the link.
Did I say? I meant to say listed, not unlisted. I meant to say listed.
Oh, okay.
You need to make it public.
I will do that after I actually release the review.
Alex,
I don't want spoilers.
when you get to Dark Empire, are you going to be able to keep a straight face?
Probably not now that all of you keep making jokes about it. It's gonna be the first thing I think about is you guys making fun of me.
I think you need to address it right at the beginning of your video.
No, I'm not gonna address it. I'm just gonna try to not laugh. I'm just gonna have a huge
Alex,
smile.
you need to keep your hands where we can see them.
Oh my goodness.
We don't want you getting into trouble.
I'm not gonna pull a Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, you need to make sure your door's locked too.
That might have gone above multiple people's heads, except for maybe Scott, but I don't know. Do you know the Pee Wee Herman films?
Yeah.
Do you know what Pee Wee
I've
Herman is?
seen one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, basically, he went into a theater. I think it was specifically a porno theater, but he did some stuff in the theater that he shouldn't have done. I don't know if porn existed yet, but that's something you do in private, and he did not. So it was a thing.
Well, I think we've tired Matt out.
Good,
So-
good night.
Good night, Pope Wilkins.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see you next time.
Good night, Matt Prime.
Yeah, take care,
Matt
man.
Prime.
Prime Matt. Matt 1. We're all clones of
we're-
Matt.
No, we're IG-88. The different designations. He's the first IG-88, and we're all the copies. From Tales of the Bounty Hunters, which Bounty Hunter Wars pisses on, but we'll drop that discussion.
Well, I mean, like, he's Matt 1, I'm Matt 2, Alex Matt 3, like the Doors clones.
like the Wilkins Trinity.
Yeah, that's actually better. Now. We're all Wilkins. We're just different persons.
Different aspects of
Yeah.
Wilkins.
So obviously Matt is the father. It's debatable who's the son, and then one of us is the spirit. There you go. Go
Well,
full circle
I'm
to the
the son.
conversation.
There's more than 3 of us here. You know.
So how would that
Yeah.
work?
This is a religion stream, right? So in Hinduism, there are
Oh my goodness.
millions of gods. However, they are all aspects of Brahma.
Yeah.
It's like the one true source. So we are all aspects of Matt Wilkins.
Man, if I was Buddhist, I would have been really offended when I read New Jedi Order.
Why?
Because that's exactly how the Vaughn gods are.
Oh, they're all aspects of one.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I'd be really
Quite true.
offended if I was Buddhist, bro. If I was and then reading that, ooh, I'd be so offended.
Well, I think he said the Hindu god. Buddhists have Buddha, who left his
is
family.
like a sect of Hinduism.
Yeah, it is, but it's
So they
it's
kind
different
of believe
enough.
the same gods. It's just Buddha's in there. I mean,
Yeah,
Buddhism is
Buddhism.
weird. It's kind of a religion, kind of not. It's weird.
Well,
But
also,
Hinduism, whatever. Hindu.
well, also
Buddhism.
the thing that automatically destroys Hinduism and Buddhism is the fact that they believe that the universe is eternal, when all available data seems to suggest that it's not, which automatically would discount Buddhism and Hinduism. Then you have, the big 3: Judaism, Christianity, and
let's stop
Islam.
there for a second. Let's not
Well,
throw out the baby with the bathwater here. Just because one of the basic tenets of their faith has been disproven by science doesn't mean that things that they teach are invalid.
I just meant the belief itself. If science goes against it on a fundamental level, whereas like the Bible literally starts with "in the beginning," which religious people were saying years before any scientific person said it. I forget who said it. There's a wonderful quote where it was talking about all the scientists reaching for the stars, climbing this tall mountain, only to see that a theologian was waiting for them at the top all this time. Because for the longest time, people actually argued that the universe was eternal,
Right.
until science got better and it was proven that it's been saying what the Bible's been saying forever, which is that the universe had a beginning. But Yeah, sorry, we're trying to get off that topic, but you
Oh, okay.
you brought it back up, so
Yeah.
I got passionate again. I apologize. Are you as a Christian offended by the Force though? No, because it's not real.
Yes. I'm just kidding.
All Jedis are heretics and must be executed.
Blue Pig, what doesn't work scientifically with Christianity? If you're gonna mention a flat Earth, don't, because it's a very small percentage of Christians. It's but even still, it's not a main tenet of the faith. So like, you believe that the Earth is flat, or that you believe that the Earth is round. It changes nothing about the religion itself. Did Jesus rise from the dead? Is the main essential thing. If that didn't happen, Christianity is false. If it did happen, then it's true, and it's as simple as that.
But like again, you say if that didn't happen, Christianity is false. Like in a sense, yes, but the teachings.
Sure. Well, teachings, anything can give wisdom.
Yeah.
But if Jesus did not rise from the dead, then as Paul says, then we are the most to be pitied because we've been following a lie.
Right.
So now, just the age of the Earth. Well, many
Pig
Christians have different perspectives about the age of the Earth. I am of the mind that I just go with the science that it's, however many millions of years they say old is. But if a Christian says that it's like 6,000 years old, yeah, I think they're wrong. But that doesn't affect, the core tenets of Christianity, because it doesn't really talk about that as an issue or as a main topic of the faith. There are essential things you have to believe or accept as true, or to dismantle to prove that it's false. So one of them being that Jesus didn't rise from the dead. If you can prove that, then Christianity is destroyed.
Blue Pig says to talk about Tales of the Jedi. So yeah, my favorite character is Eula Qel-Droma. What about y'all?
Actually, we should talk about what we don't, because we're always talking about what we like from Tales of the Jedi, because it's amazing. I feel like we should talk about what we don't like about Tales of the Jedi. If it's
What if I say nothing? Is that possible?
That's a fair answer. But
I'd
I
have to think
one
on
thing
that. And it's also been a few years since I've read the comics too.
Well, you know what you have to do after the stream is over.
Well, actually, here's what I'll say. What I don't like about Tales of the Jedi, redemption. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't think it's as good as people say it is.
Oh man, that's
What?
the best one.
That
made
made
me cry.
I think it's the worst one. It's not bad. Don't get me
What?
wrong. It's good.
Literally how? Literally how?
I just didn't find it as interesting as the
You know,
others.
Chris Gossett
thought
moved
the
in with
Sith
Kevin
War was
Anderson to write that
It's
issue
okay.
and draw it
It's okay.
together.
Lance is allowed to be wrong. It's okay.
Yeah. No, it's okay. That's-
No. I think the Sith War is the best of all. of them.
No.
Or
but-
or Golden Age of the Sith. Hot take. Oh yeah, I'm all about them hot takes.
I'll say, Golden Age of the Sith was pretty weak for me. I read that first. I was like, it's okay. Luckily, I was afterwards, which was much better. One thing I generally didn't like was the new character they introduced for Redemption. The short little midget guy that reminded me of the guy from Beauty and the Beast that follows
Hagen.
Gaston around.
Oh,
Yeah, I
LeFou?
hate that dude. Yeah, LeFou, like that guy. Yeah, I don't remember the actual character name in the Redemption comic. I don't mind the shot, Ulick. I thought that was actually kind of poetic that he's got shot by a normal dude. I just didn't like the normal dude that shot him. I just thought he was kind of annoying.
I never liked him either.
He's a super.
I like the decision. I just don't like the character. I think he's annoying.
He was like a super fan of the Jedi, and he was obsessed with them. And all he wanted to do was, be one of the Jedi or be in their good graces. And so he sees he literally shoots his shot and takes out Eula Qel-Droma. I thought it was pretty good.
Blue Pig,
How else would
go
you have him
against-
die? Like how else does Eula Qel-Droma die? Because Tom Veitch's original script, Ulick dies unredeemed.
No, I agree with you. I like the decision to have a random normal person kill him. I think
Yeah.
that works really great.
You just didn't
I
like this
just don't-
particular guy. Okay, that's cool.
I didn't. Yeah, if it had been some other, in my opinion, better written character that was just a normal person that shot him, that'd be fine. I just don't like the guy that they had shoot him. I thought he was annoying. That's all. But I like the decision to have Ulick shot by somebody that's not a Force user.
Titus says, only thing in Star Wars to bring me to tears. Me too.
I mean, I did really like the Vima and Ulick stuff. That was great. But overall,
Last Jedi
I
done
liked
right.
it. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. It's just I don't think it's the best.
Yeah. So you like Sith War? Sith War is probably my second favorite arc behind Return.
I loved what was it? Kay? I don't remember his name. Ulick's brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
K. Keldroma, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I let's just say I enjoyed Ulick's redemption. How he got redeemed. I really enjoyed that. That's what.
Oh, I thought of one problem I have with Tales of the Jedi.
Perfect.
The lightsaber colors of the characters are really inconsistent. Like,
Oh my god, I know.
first it's like, oh, is it yellow? Is it green? Is it blue? Like, that's probably the only negative little nitpick I can think of off the top of my head.
That's kind of a problem throughout the EU. I see that a lot. Like for example, Jaina. She goes from having like a blue lightsaber to a purple lightsaber. Anakin goes from having a purple. Well, I guess he always had a purple.
Yeah.
Jason went from. Well, I guess he always had green. I guess
He did always have green.
And of course, it
I
became
mean,
red.
except for when he's red. But yeah.
In Tales of the Jedi, canonically, I think it's Exar Kun has blue. No debate about that. Ulick, there's some debate, but I think it's supposed to be greenish yellow.
Yes, it was greenish yellow.
And then Nomi, I think, is green.
And Tot Danita, I think his was like supposed to be purple or something.
Right. And then Silvar had like almost like a pinkish color to her lightsaber or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think I have to end the stream. It's almost 1 a.m. and I'm tired.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's
I know
almost
you wanted
11
to
for
get on-
me.
Yeah, I know you wanted to get on, Jay, but it's getting late, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave. I don't know what time it is for y'all.
It's almost 11 for me.
1:55 a.m.
Oh, okay, so
10:56
you're just an hour
p.m.
ahead.
I'm on
I
the
guess-
East Coast. Yeah. I guess I'm on the East Coast. I'm in the Eastern Standard Time, so it's 1:55 a.m., 1:56 a.m.
Oh, I guess Scott's mic's not working. Well, anyway, y'all have a great night. Thanks for joining. Everyone in stream chat, thanks for joining. Titus, Blue Pig, Matt, everyone who joined, thanks for joining. I hope you have a great night.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.